noise that we heard one let out. We were probably about a mile off when we heard that, and then moved slowly into this area until we found them. And what I think we need to actually do, it looks like the rest of the herd is gently feeding towards us. So what I think I want to do is kind of reposition a little bit. I think we actually need to do it fairly quickly because they're moving quite fast. Get up onto some higher ground and wait for them to approach us. This is so awesome. And the good news is there's a riverbed between us and them, or at least there will be shortly, and that will provide us with some good cover. Just need to pick up the speed a bit, Dave. They're moving quite quickly, and I don't want to get caught out by them, so rather move a little bit faster until we get into a spot where we're comfortable. And I think that's going to be right here. Now, elephant's eyesight is not good, but that individual has just seen us. It may not be entirely sure what we are. It seems to have relaxed now. It was holding its head up high, but now it's relaxed again, so it just kind of smelt a bit of a rat, but is now relaxing again. Or is it? It's not entirely sure as to what we are, and it will be communicating with the other elephants, letting them know, hey, something's up, and they can communicate silently to infrasonic audio. Now you might be able to see a few playful youngsters. There's quite a lot of bullying that happens in and amongst these herds, and it could have been that very audio of youngsters playing with one another that actually alerted us to the presence of what seems to be a very large herd of elephants in this area. Now, what I'm thinking of doing is sending you across to James for a moment. We're going to stay with this herd, try to get into a better position where we feel a little bit safer, and we'll call you back as soon as we're in a good spot.
Okay, here we are, everybody, with a magnificent Wildebeest eagle. Unfortunately, I cannot hear what is going on the radio at the moment. I'm trying to get an update. Apparently, Hosana has been found near Chitwa Dam on an impala kill, so we will try and go and have a look there. Just excuse me 1 second. Look to the nest. You can see the baby there. Peter, I can't hear you. I'm going to try and get a bit closer, and then I'll call you later. Thank you. So this is the couple that lives around Twin Dams. That is, of course, the pale form Wildebeest eagle and the chocolate Wildebeest eagle there, the one being harried by, there we go, couple of drongos giving him a rough time. I'm assuming he's the male. I don't know that for sure. I kind of assume it's the female in the nest. And I suppose that's just human prejudice. I'm assuming that the mother is doing most of the parenting and that the father is taking the hit from that drongo. I must say, I think it's very cheeky of the drongo. You know, these Wildebeest eagles have lived here for many years now. It's like being harassed by a gang of yobbos that have come into the area and said, you must leave. It's very yobbish behaviour from the drongos. Maybe they're just enjoying the swooping. Then it stops and sits right outside where the poor little Wildebeest eagle is trying to go to sleep. It's an interesting question. Vulpine wolf girl, you say, does the way a bird sits on a perch indicate what it eats? I suppose indirectly it often does, yes. You know, something like very few ducks, for example, can perch at all. They must stand because of their webbed feet. And that indicates, obviously, that they are not going to be grabbing things with their feet like small rats or squirrels or that sort of thing. I guess if you looked at the feet of, well, no, not so much the perching. I mean, it would be very difficult to tell what a woodpecker ate from looking at its feet. You could tell the other things that it does with its life by looking at its feet, but you couldn't tell what it ate necessarily from the way it perched. Certainly if you looked at a raptor, the way it perches is a function of its feet, but its feet are designed obviously for eating meat and catching meat and that sort of thing, but I don't think it perches any differently. The mechanism by which it perches and the design of its feet for perching, not substantially different from that of, say, a house sparrow. So I'm going to say no, not really. Isn't that great? That drongo is so fast. There's no ways that big eagle could grab the drongo at this range. It would have to surprise it. Poor fellow. There he is out there looking out for his family, being completely harassed. It's also possible they've had a small tiff, Mum and Dad, and he's been tossed out of the house to go and think about what he said. The insensitivity of asking if perhaps they could buy another bicycle rather than paint the nursery. Yeah, Michael, it's a good question. How common are pairs of one of each colour morph? I don't know how common they are, I'm trying to think of how many I've seen. I think there was one at Angama where I used to work. In fact, there was definitely one. I don't know that they show any obvious preference. I don't know that a chocolate-coloured one necessarily always goes for, or normally goes for a chocolate-coloured one. It's a really interesting question. I'm just trying to think of the pairs that we have here. We've obviously got the two pale morphs up near camp. There's this bunch. And I don't know, there must be a few, at least another two, I would have thought, nests on Djuma. But I don't know where they are. So that's very interesting. The male's now moved, well, what we're calling the male, and he's gone up to the top just above the nest. Maybe he said sorry, and he's now being invited back into the home. All right, I'm going to go and see if I can find out what's going on with Hosana. While I do that, Scott has managed to get another view of his elephants en foot.
Yes, we've got ourselves into the most awesome spots. We are elevated. We've got a riverbed between us and this herd of elephants with a whole bunch of cute little youngsters. The only catch, and you can see that one individual on the left possibly holding its trunk up. A few of them are doing it now. And obviously the wind's just changed. It was in our favor, but it has been swirling. And isn't it fascinating how incredible their senses are? They can smell us, and rather than hanging around too long and disturbing them, I'm thinking of possibly moving off and letting them continue their day unaffected by our presence. Now, even though they have kind of detected us, if we move out of the area, they're not going to be further put off. And even at the moment, you can see they're not exactly alarmed. They've just sensed something and are continuing to feed. The youngsters are completely oblivious to what's going on here. I'm not sure if you can see that tiny little baby playing around there. That is what you're looking at the moment. And they are the most awesome animals. It's not the first little bit of Ellie cuteness you've seen this morning. I know you had a wonderful sighting with Jamie and some young Ellies playing up in the Masai Mara. And I think we're actually good to stay here for a bit. The elephants have calmed down again. They're no longer holding their trunks up, so obviously now the wind is back in our favor. And yes, now using my sock again, we can see that the ash is blowing gently away from us and the elephants, so they're no longer going to smell us. Awesome stuff. Hi, Kathy. You would like to know what is the largest elephant I've seen on foot and how close was I? Well, probably it all melts down into one sighting. It was probably the most harrowing sighting of my life, Kathy. It was a big elephant bull that had actually managed to get a hold of one of the guides as he was trying to chase it out of a camp. A lot of the camps in Africa will have elephant fences, which is just two electric strands that are high up off the ground, so all other animals can pass through, just not the elephants. And this Ellie clever Ellie had got in and he was cashing in on the bounty of food. Here's a nice bull coming across into the scene now. Youngster, still nice, and basically the elephant had trampled one of our guides. Thankfully he survived, and 4 days later I was on a bushwalk with 2 guests, and that very same elephant who had realized how much more powerful he is than us humans started giving us a hard time, and he basically had us pinned down against a tree for about half an hour, charging repeatedly and stopping at the last minute until eventually a vehicle came and chased him off. So that was probably the closest I've ever been to an elephant, and I would say his end of his trunk was about a meter from hitting me when he would stop. If he had have taken one more step, I would have had to shoot him, but thankfully I didn't. I think he actually did end up getting shot a little bit later, because he just became a bit of a problem animal. And that does happen from time to time. Obviously it's the last thing we want, but we do need to remember that it's important that we keep ourselves safe, and if there are any animals that do get into any very bad habits, they will be shot. And it's not something that happens often. Now, it's unlikely that we're going to find any very big bulls in and amongst this herd. It's not to say that we won't. What a peaceful and awesome scene this is. You can possibly hear some yellow-billed hornbills calling korok, 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 korok in the background. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Now, I don't want to overstay our welcome here. We've had such an epic view, and I want to leave these Ellies to continue their peaceful morning, playing about and feeding casually, and while we do that, we'll send you back to a peaceful and casual Tingana.
Well, peaceful is about right. He is not stirred an absolute inch since we last saw him. He's being sleepy, but the sun is out, and maybe that will drive him to be frolicking around like those playful Ellies that Scott has just had. And I'm always jealous when the guys on foot get to see Ellies, because being with an elephant herd on foot has got to be one of the most spectacular things to do in life. It is single-handedly one of my most favorite experiences, and some of my best ever walks have been with Ellies around. So I'm a bit jealous of Scott, but at the end of the day I'm pretty sure Scott would be a bit jealous of not being with a little spotted cat this morning. Not that he's little as well, he's a rather large individual, but I think he's found, like I say, his little spot for the day, although he is in full sunshine. So as that sun is now breaking through the clouds, there is no shade whatsoever where he's lying, so the sun breaking out might actually start to make him stir a little bit. He might then get up and move into a bit of a shadier section. We'll hopefully see how that pans out, but it definitely might mean that we get at least some sort of movement from him. Ferg and I were just talking if maybe it's time to start heading off and seeing what else we can go and find, given that we haven't really gotten too much from him. But you can see, even though he's under a bush, the angle of the sun at the moment means that he is going to be completely obliterated if the sun gets warm. So I don't think he's going to be down there for too much longer. I have a feeling he's going to maybe just meander off into some shade. I don't know where he's going to head from here. He seemed to be on a kind of mission going straight north. I thought for a second he might cut towards Treehouse Dam, but he's already gone way past that. So maybe up towards Gowrie Dam for this afternoon. Who knows? There we go, a few feet and tail stirs. It might mean that the sun is starting to kind of catch his attention. When you see a little bit of stretching and the tail flickered a little bit there, that it could potentially mean that he's going to get up and move. It would be nice if he did move again. It feels as though he was, kind of over too quickly this morning, and the cheetahs are outshining him somewhat in their activities, so hopefully we will see some sort of movement from Tingana at some point during the day today. Christy, most certainly if male leopards move into a different male's territory, then they will kill the offspring of that male leopard. So if, let's hypothetically say, this new male moves in, Tingana gets chased out, then Tandi's cub is in very, very serious danger from that new male, because ultimately he will want to mate with Tandi, and therefore he will kill that cub to bring her back into an estrus cycle that will allow him to be able to mate with her. So we don't really want to take over at this stage. We want Tingy to try and stay as dominant as possible for the next little bit, and hopefully he will be able to hold out for a year or so and give time for that cub to be able to get to a sort of much bigger age where it will be able to fend for itself. The thing is that it's not just obviously a male leopard that's a big problem. Is Tundi's got a number of concerns on her hand at the moment. She's got lions, she's got hyenas. That little cub is not mobile enough yet to be climbing trees, and it's really at the most dangerous point at the moment. Is she's trying to keep this little one out of the way of all of these others. Oh, there's a little bit of mouth movement. What are you doing, Tingana? Are you chewing a branch? Looks like it, doesn't it? It looks like he's got a branch in his face that he's busy chewing. Are you reclining, boy? Has it been a tough day so far? But you can see his teeth are still healthy, so he's still in good condition. It's not like his teeth are blunted in any way, or his claws. So he's still got, I reckon he's still got time left in him. Of course, it just depends on what comes along. If there's a bigger, stronger competitor, then obviously it makes it harder. But we really do need him to stick around, because it would be great for him to be around here and just to look after this area, and for us not to have to worry about the male leopard side of things, so that Tundi can really focus on keeping a little one safe from hyenas and lions and other things. Right. Well, I think Tingana is still very sleepy. We're probably going to sit here for a few more minutes just to see if the sun does wake him up. And while we do that, let's go back across to Brent Leo Smith with some rather active spotty cats.
Well, everything's still calm here with the cheetah. You can see there's a stalemate since the last bout of action. The only difference is that D'Artagnan has moved out and joined the other three on this side. So there's 3 musketeers to the back end of Muji. And one just in front of him, what he keeps his eye on. You can see, shame, he's almost got to keep his head on a swivel with all those boys around him. See, any little bit of movement gets heads up. It's amazing how it can go from so peaceful to flying fluff and fur. Josh is wondering if they did allow Muji or Mugi to join the coalition, would the missing member of the Musketeers allow him, or would be allowed back? Almost certainly. I think the missing member is a bit smarter than the rest, and he's chasing ladies rather than fighting with boys. And he's probably the most dominant in the coalition, if that's the case. We thought D'Artagnan the collared male was, but if he's not doing the mating, he's probably not the most dominant. But it is interesting to see, and as we spend more time with him, is the only way we're going to be able to tell for sure. Oh, I had a bit of movement from Muji. There we go. There he has that begging again. Meow. Meow. Please don't. The slightest thing can set them off again. I don't think it's going to set off like it did a bit earlier though. Just have a look now. It must be quite a daunting prospect to be surrounded, knowing that if you sort of leave your bush, you might come to the end of your life.
Let's just wait 1 second. I don't think too much is going to happen now, but it seems to be a properly spotted cat morning, because James has another set of spots to show you.
Hello everybody, we've got wonderful news here. Hosana, the male leopard, about to have a drink. Sorry about the pole, nothing I can do. There he is. Now I'm told that he killed an impala. I don't see any hoisted impala around, but he may have left it, perhaps underneath a little bit of bush. Oh, really? Do you have to go there? Let's just give him a second, because there's quite a lot of bush around here. I'm not sure how much easier or how much better this picture can be, unless I really get in the way of the photographers on the other vehicle. Now, for those of you who have just joined us, Hosana is almost 2 years old, and of course he is the prince. And he's the prince in that he is the son of the great Kruger. Of course, she was our very famous leopard. She died, we think, or disappeared mysteriously somewhere around April this year. Now, Kathy, you're wondering if the fact that this leopard has started a scent mark means that he will kill Tundi's cubs. I'm going to move. I think it's unlikely. He has started to certainly demonstrate some signs and what we call behaviour. He's certainly not territorial yet, and I don't think that he would pose any danger to Tundi or her cubs. We're not going to get in here. We need to go around the other way. Sorry everybody, just a little tricky manoeuvring through here. Is he? Oh, there he is. Okay, we got him, well spotted. Here he comes. I do apologise for the pole, obviously, again. Isn't he a magnificent fellow? He's got a look of his mum about him, you know. Those long back legs. Kathy, another question from you. Well, no, another Kathy asking a question about what the chances of this cat remaining here are with Tingana dominant, and what are the best case scenario for him staying around. We actually, I know that this is going to sound nasty, or not nasty, but probably not what many want to hear. We don't want him to hang around here, and we don't want him to hang around here. There we go. We don't want him to hang around here because, of course, he's related to all the leopards around here, which means that we actually want him to disperse somewhere else and take these genes that he has and put them into another population of leopards. And so the best case scenario for him and his genetics and all the others, all the other genetics of this area, is for him to disperse away from. Now, we don't have a lot of property left here before we'll have to cross out of Chitwa, which we don't want to do. Well, we're not allowed to. Let me just get into a slightly better position here. There he goes. Very thick in here. Oh dear. Big bush. Oh dear. Another big log stump. I must say, that's one part of this place I didn't miss from the Masai Mara, was the amount of bush we have. There he is, trotting off in front of us. Oh, look at him. I don't think he did have an impala kill. He looks well fed, but not fat. And I don't think that he'd be leaving anything in a tree. He's a busy leopard, this, you know. He doesn't sit still for long. Let's try and get out of here. Keep up with him. But Seb, I can see nothing behind us, I'm afraid. We've got the rain cover on still, of course. Naturally, it hasn't dropped anything on us since the initial... Ooh, it's not good that side there. Okay, see if we can catch up with him. You see him? You got him?
Yeah.
Alrighty, we got him. Here he is. Here he comes. He's spotted an impala in front of him, full-size male. He's stalking. He's in full stalk. Look at him, gone right down into that stalking position. That male impala has not seen him. Isn't this wonderful? Now, a big male impala is a challenge, a leopard like this. Alarm calling, he's popped in. Don't think the impala's seen him. We don't want to move, obviously. Red-chested cuckoos. The white-browed scrub robin. Welcome to our new viewers watching on social media. We are sitting here with a young male leopard, just about 2 years old, and he was, until you joined us, in full stalk. There was an impala, there is an impala still in front of him. There, the impala's just seen him now. That means the hunt is over, I'm afraid. There's the leopard, there's the impala. More than 30 feet from each other. Anyway, if you'd like to ask any questions, you I'm sorry about that morning, so we had to put a roof on the car. We're coming to you live from the Sabi sands. This is really interesting in South Africa. The impala is chasing the leopard through the bush. And what he's doing is saying, I can see you. And I know that if I stay outside of, say, a 50-foot radius, you won't be able to catch me because I'm too quick. And the leopard's turned. You can just see his tail flicking through the bush there. And that's very interesting. That's generally what these predators do, what the prey do, is that if they spot a predator, they will try and stay in contact so that they can be sure the predator is not trying to sneak up on them. Now he's gone behind a bush in front of us. Look, he's right here. Right there. He's going up the tree. Isn't that beautiful? Paul, you saying that tail flicked up is a sure sign of no hunt. It is quite often, that's true. That was very elegant. He's been elegant since he was a cub, this leopard. He's a bit of a thug, really. He's thick-set. He's not very tall. That is wonderful stuff. And Sue, you're in England wondering how far the leopard is from us. The leopard is not far. You can just see his tail flicking up. Oh, that's a gorgeous shot of the impala. The leopard is no more than, I would say, 30 meters from us, and the impala another 20 or so. So 50 meters now from the leopard, the gap widening. Leopard is now coming back around towards us. He's just, can you see him there, Seb? I'm sorry about this pole, everyone. There he is. Kayleen, you say he wants to play now. Interesting you say that. This cat likes company. He is unusually often found with other leopards who are less than pleased with his presence. What's he got there? A tortoise or something? No? A piece of old viscera of some kind. Let's go and have a look. See. I think it was a bit of skin or something, maybe. Let me just try and sneak through here. He went to lie down. There he is. There he is over there. You're wondering about the noise that you can hear, that snorting sound. Yes, it is indeed the impala. Now the squirrels are shouting. He's a very playful fellow, this. And this is a wonderful stage of life, to be around a male leopard. Because they are playful, they're inquisitive, they're not so serious like adult male leopards who are trying to be territorial and find females and defend their areas. Life is easy, just like the youth of any species, I suppose, just like our own species. Just sort of discovering himself now as a male leopard is young Hosana. All right, for those of you on social media, I don't think that there is going to be any further hunt. Remember, we are, of course, in Big Cat Week, and we at Safari Live have got a special on Big Cat Week in the United States, Nat Geo Wild, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. That's, of course, on Friday for us. And so if you would like to see more of this sort of thing, please do join us for that TV show. Otherwise, you can just Google Safari Live and you will find us on whatever platform on social media suits you for our twice daily scheduled broadcasts. Thanks for joining us. I'm assuming we're still with our normal viewers. None of you are normal. You're all unusual in your own special way, of course. Let's try and get another view of Hosana. I'm just going to move out the way here. There he goes. Just get another view of him, and then I'll hand you over to Jamie in the Mara. Just simply because if he does disappear into that bush, it's going to take some manoeuvring to catch up with him. He's definitely looking for little bits and pieces to eat. And of course a young male leopard must eat anything he can find. Alrighty, we'll try and get another view of him. While we do that, let's head to Jamie in the Mara.
Wandering off into the vegetation and perhaps tries a slightly better attempt at a stalking impala. This is the closest I have come to finding cheetah, and this track is from, a few days ago. I don't know when last it rained, but we can barely actually now, it's actually degraded to the point that we can barely see what it is. But you can actually see very visibly on a cheetah track. They've got the 3 lobes, just like a leopard or a lion, and I know that Tristan and Scott and Steph on Bushwalk will have been showing you a great deal about the way in which leopard and lion tracks are easily recognizable. Cheetahs have the 3 lobes, but they're very sharp. They're angular. The best one that you can see that in this light, unfortunately the sun's gone up a little bit too much for it to be clear, is that track there. Very sharp, very angular back pad. And interestingly enough, this is most definitely a female cheetah, and that's purely by size. The musketeer tracks are, or the fast 5, or whatever we want to call them, they are much, much larger than this track. So she was here. That much was true. Now, as to whether or not the missing musketeer, and I'm sorry, it's too beautifully alliterative to ignore, whether or not the missing musketeer is still with her, or if not, I'm honestly not 100% sure. We have had no success at all. We checked where Imani was, the one and only time I've ever seen her, in the vain, desperate hope she'd be there. Nothing. I don't know, I mean, unless they're hiding in, there's so many potential bushes for them to be hiding underneath. There's not that much that we can do at this point. We just have to keep searching. Keep searching until he finds the rest of musketeers or we find him. I think this afternoon we're going to go across the river. We're going to go search for Armani's girls, because we saw them yesterday. We just didn't want to get stuck across the river in the rain. So there you go, a cheetah track. Obviously the claws are visible within the track itself. I don't want to get out because there's somebody watching me and I'm not really allowed to. I'll sit here for now and you can have a look at the track yourselves. There you go, you can just see the claw indents. Often easily confused with a hyena track, but much straighter and much more symmetrical. And of course, with cheetah, back pad or back foot is actually larger than the front foot, which is unusual. Most animals bear most of their weight on their front feet or the front half of their bodies, and as a result their front track is bigger. But here the track allows for great traction. Haha. Okay, I'm going to go and see if I can find this missing musketeer. If we don't have any luck, well, we'll search for something else. Off you go across all the way, well, just to the other side of the Mara River, to where Taylor's bumbling about. I wonder if she's had more luck than we have.
Jamie, I feel as though you and I should just meet up and have a cup of coffee somewhere. and maybe, I don't know, a little breakfast snack of sorts, because I'm having absolutely no luck this morning. Even Archie's looking at me going, why is it so quiet today? I don't know where the animals are. It's amazing how 1 minute you have so many of them and then completely gone. So, I promise I'm not heading home just yet, because yes, I am going up the escarpment again. I'm not going back for breakfast. I'm going to do some birding with all of you. So hopefully what we will do is, once we get all the way up to the top, I've been saying that I've been seeing some really cool birds lately. Lots of violet-backed starlings. I'd love to try and get the white-eyed, slaty flycatcher thingy-mabobby. That bird was quite beautiful. And maybe an arena trogon. The African emerald cuckoos have been flying around camp all morning, or every morning so far, every time we've had breakfast and our morning meetings. So I think that could be quite cool. And we might as well take the opportunity of a quiet morning. Lots of different animals up here though. Let's have a very quick look at what we've got. We've got baboons, we've got zebra, we've got impala, we've got all the animals in the entire world up here in the escarpment and not down at the base of the triangle. How fitting. The other morning on the way home, after drive had wrapped, oh look, there's 2 little baboons playing just down to the left on the middle of the road next to the zebra. There we go. And we watched some really interesting animal behavior amongst the baboons, where most of you know, and I know this is not relevant to what we were watching, the little ones playing, one getting groomed, but it was so fascinating, is most of you know that a baboon troop is run not just by one male baboon, but a super group of them. We call it an oligarchy. And there was a dispute happening. I don't know if it was an intruder or if it was a dispute amongst the super group of dominant males, but I've never seen anything like it before. It was quite savage. and I did manage to get some pictures. I just don't have them with me, but at some point I'll try and show them to you. Not that they're very great, but you just get to see all the teeth and how they were fighting. It was quite spectacular. But it's very peaceful amongst this troop of baboons, and I'm sure it's the same troop of baboons that we see pretty much every day along here. They tend to live around in those areas. But quiet, everyone's grooming one another. It was actually very nice. This is the most animals we've seen all morning. Now, Lara, you're wondering if I can find you any lovebirds in the Mara. I haven't seen any. I don't know, do you get Lillian's lovebirds here? We've got them in Zambia. Let me have a quick look. I actually don't know what lovebird species you would see, but that'd be quite cool. Trying to look in my book. L. Lovebirds. Okay, let's go. 216. There's a couple of them. I actually don't think I saw the Lillian. Was it the Lillians? Yeah, Lillians. Okay, and I'm searching for you, Lara. I can't really see any species that occur here. The red-headed lovebird just occurs in the far west. Are there more on the other pages? No. I don't know if we get any. Oh, and the fisher's lovebird. That kind of just occurs here as well. So, Lara, I'm not so sure. Well, you know what we'll have to do is we'll have to ask Brent. Also, I see there's a speck, a yellow-collared lovebird, also in the far southwest. Maybe we do, but maybe we can ask Brenty, because he's spent quite a bit of time around here. And Jamie, of course, and see if they've seen any lovebirds. And of course, Brent is the birding master at Safari Live, and it's one of his favorite things to do. So he most certainly will be able to give us some insight. So we shall ask him about that. But Lara, we'll have a look. We'll see what we can find in the forests this morning. I'm so sorry, Nikki. What did you say to me? All I heard was... I thought that you were maybe whispering something to me, but Nikki is not whispering anything to me this morning, and neither are the baboons. They're just chatting to one another. I'm going to send you back down to South Africa, where it's not so sunny, and James, who's got his leopard.
No, we don't, I'm afraid. We've had a very nice sighting of him, but he's headed off now, I'm afraid, into some thick stuff. But he's heading straight for the Chitwa Dam. So with any luck, we'll get a decent view of him. In the meantime, apparently... Oh, Scott's got something giving birth.
And on the right, the one that's staring at us, if you look at her bottom, you'll notice there's something sticking out. She's midway through giving birth. Can you believe it? Now, I'm hoping either Tristan or James is not too far away, because we are on foot and we don't want to distress it too much. It looks like it will be the second baby wildebeest born to this herd. If we take a look there, we can see another little baby. And yes, we're on the quarantine clearings. And I was just telling Dave that my first ever Safari Live drive, within 5 minutes of me starting, I got to witness a wildebeest giving birth. And that was the first and last time I've ever seen a wild animal give birth. And hopefully, if a vehicle can take over the sighting, you guys will be able to witness that incredible scene. Now, it's impossible to know how long it's going to take for this individual who's kind of midway through her labor to actually drop. But it's certainly something that is likely to happen. There she is. Fascinating. Now, I can't see too clearly. Dave's doing an incredibly good job free-holding the camera as if he is a human tripod and giving us some fascinating views of her. Come on! Imagine if we can share a live birth on foot with you guys, and that will be one of the most incredible things that I would never have imagined possible if you had have asked me this at any stage of my career. And the good news is that there's a number of females within this herd that still have to drop, and it's likely that they're all going to start dropping at a very, very similar stage. And hopefully we won't just be able to see one birth, but possibly several. Now, it seems like that female has no longer... The baby's no longer protruding, but it looks like it's going to start possibly poking out again. She's obviously got a lot of pressure in that area. That's why she's just taken a pee. And I'm very, very happy. The rest of the herd looks like it's relaxed. There's a few other members that are lying down. Come on, Mommy. Do what you need to do. Hello, UFO channel. You'd like to know if I think this baby is stuck in there. Well, yes, I guess temporarily it is stuck in there. It seems to have actually gone back into her uterus. It's no longer protruding as it was, but just like human births, wild animals can also have some tricky times giving labor, and it's not necessarily a very quick thing. Maybe she's not a very old wildebeest. Maybe this is her first calf that she'll be giving birth to, hence the delay. But you tend to find with wild animals there's far less complications than with us, as well as with domesticated animals like dogs that have been kind of bred to form thoroughbreds. There's going to be a lot less genetic impurities or problems, because Mother Nature ensures by her very harsh form of selection that any female wildebeest that are not good at giving birth will be eradicated from the system. So you'll tend to find that most of them are in fact going to give birth without any troubles. Safari Dean, yes, I couldn't agree with you more, and thanks for sending through that comment saying that this is an absolutely epic scene. I couldn't agree more with you. Tristan's only a couple of minutes away, and I'm guessing he may want to spend a little bit of time with this wildebeest to see if she doesn't in fact give birth. I'm thinking possibly what the best protocol will maybe be for us to end the safari at a regular time, but I would urge you guys to stay tuned closely on Facebook, because that way we can do an action broadcast as and when she starts to go into full labor, which could take quite a long time. And we, Siberia Zumi, you were one of the lucky people who were with me on my first ever drive and got to enjoy seeing that wildebeest give birth. And imagine if 3 years down the line it happens again. Absolutely awesome stuff. Let's have a quick look there. Looks like everything's under control for now, but who knows? Maybe once she does get going properly, it could just be a matter of moments before she gives birth. It could happen very quickly. Oh, yay, we can see Tristan. And, well, at least I can just see the antenna of his vehicle moving in the background. So he is getting into position now. And Tristan, it is the most southern wildebeest. Could be behind a marula tree for you at the moment, but it is definitely the individual that is the furthest south out of the whole herd. That is the one that is giving birth. So now he knows which ones to keep an eye out for. You'll probably be getting some good views of him getting into position now. Wonderful stuff. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move away and leave Tristan to take over, and I wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope this wildebeest gives birth sooner rather than later. Over to Tristan.
Well done, Scotty. That's very cool. So Scott seems to have an absolute knack for finding birthing wildebeest. I don't know why. I think it's the one... I'm not sure which one it actually is just yet. We're busy trying to work it out. They're slowly but surely filing past us now. And I would imagine that we are going to see quite a few of these over the next few days, because there are a number of seriously heavily pregnant females. Furthest right for me, apparently. So it's this one that's coming now in front. So let's see. Oh, there's a little baby already out. That's the one that we saw the other night. That it was born probably, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. Now, which one... I'm trying to see which one it is, because all of them so far don't have anything sticking out of them just yet, which, of course... It's almost... It's a bit of a difficult one to actually tell who's who now, because everybody's kind of going. Although this one's tail is kind of quite erect as it's walking, so maybe it's that one. There we go, the one that the little baby is walking past. You see that its tail is quite out and erect, so I wonder if something's going to come out there shortly. Now, it's a bit concerning that it was out and it just sucked it back in. I don't know what Scott did to it. Maybe it got a bit of a fright seeing Scott and decided, that's it, I'm going to pull this back in before it gets eaten. But let's have a look. Its tail is kind of out and erect again. No, still nothing that I can see on any of the backsides in the shape of hooves, so I don't think it's quite ready just yet. Interesting. We'll just keep watching them. They're slowly but surely filing past us, and so they're heading deeper away from us, and I don't know if this one is going to give birth right now. We'll follow it for a bit and just see. I think it's that one on the back right, Ferg, the one that's holding its tail out a bit. I might be wrong. Ooh, tough to say. Without little hooves sticking out, it makes it quite difficult to work out who's who here. But let's just give them a bit of space and let's see if they start settling down. Maybe if they stop walking, we'll have a situation where they'll actually kind of, the hooves will start coming out, so it'll be a lot easier to know which one it actually is. The problem is the sun is also coming out, which means that they are going to be driven to go towards the shade and off quarantine clearings, which is not ideal. But that little baby, nonetheless, while we're kind of sitting here and looking who might be giving birth, the little baby is the cutest thing, and it's amazing how much lighter they are in coloration compared to the adults. Now, the reason for that, of course, is because of camouflage. So if that little baby lies down in the grass, it camouflages a lot better than being a dark kind of black grey color, and that means that it can hide away from predators, because when it's still small like that, Tingana is not far away and will definitely be wanting a wildebeest snack. I've seen him hunt baby wildebeest many times, so if he comes up this way, his eyes are going to become like saucers if he sees little baby wildebeest like that. Now, I'm just trying to look at all of the females as they kind of just starting to spread out and feed, because that's what we want, is we want them to start grazing, because hopefully then we can start to see some hooves sticking out somewhere. At this stage, well, not somewhere, we know exactly where to look for hooves, but at this stage there's no hooves under any tail that I can see just yet, or any protrusion of any sort. But there are probably, I would say, 1, 2, 3, 4 females that are at the point of bursting at this stage. So I believe that this one has just leaked a little bit. Well, is it that one there, Ferg? The one, which one is it now? I've got to kind of orientate myself as to which one Ferg is actually looking at. He's looking at the ones down there. Let's see, is it her? That's one that's kind of got its tail up. I think it's her. So the one in the middle there, Ferg. Difficult to say. Right, well, I'm going to sit here for a little bit. I think it's that individual. You can see the tail is now lifting again, and so I think it might be that one that is starting to go into labor. So while we wait for a bit to see who it is, let's go back across to Brent and his fighting cheetah.
Aymara, in this fight between 4 musketeers and a solitary male called Moogie. So I've been pronouncing his name wrong. It's M-O-O-J-I, but pronounced Moogie. Attacked by 4 musketeers. The 5th musketeer is not around at the moment. And you can just see that heightened aggression. Just listen to those noises. He's managed to put himself deeper into that little bush. Such fascinating behavior. Now, last night, they were attacking him every 10 to 15 minutes. And it probably carried on through the night. And now it's sort of every half hour, 40 minutes that seems to kick off again. And everything was so peaceful. And I'm not sure, well, it was actually D'Artagnan who started it by biting Moogie's tail. But there's also been some infighting amongst the musketeers. So for those of you who joined late, just remember it's 4 musketeers, 1 solitary male. The other musketeer is apparently mating somewhere down to the west of us. Now you will hear other vehicles around us. Now we're not sure how long this is going to go on for. It could end today, it could carry on for another 2 days. Isn't this really exciting? This is 100% live. And we're witnessing behavior that is never seen. So we're going to keep recording what's happening here. Or let's just wait to see where this one's going.
So we've managed to make it to the top of the escarpment now, so we're no longer in the triangle, and it seems as though we are going to have a game of soccer against zebra, giraffe and eland this morning, which could be quite interesting, don't you think? You also might be able to hear the tractors driving around. They're doing, and trucks and grading machines, they're doing all sorts of maintenance on the vehicles today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and actually get ahead of them before they trap me again. I'm a lot more nimble than them. You won't hear me saying that very often. Okay, so we are going to be looking for birdies. Hello, look at all of them. What time is the game? When do we come and watch? And what are you playing? Netball? Volleyball? Soccer? They could be playing a number of different things. This one's just having a snack though at the moment. But we did come up here to do a little bit of birding. So I think that's what we're going to do. Let's keep looking. I haven't seen... Jamie keeps telling me about the buffalo weavers. Were they white-headed buffalo weavers? I don't know actually. She keeps telling me about them, and Brent and Scott when he was still here, but I have not seen them yet. Okay, so we're going to keep looking for these feathered things that I've never seen before and hopefully add a few more to the list. Back you go across to Tristan, and it seems as though there's been some development with the wildebeest.
Well, it seems like it. We can see something that's protruding from one of the females. She's gone quite far from us now, so she's headed right off into the distance. So I want to try and just keep up with her, but she's just behind that bush at the moment. There's not those ones, just a little bit to the left, Ferg, I think. Yeah, there, she's behind that bush. So I'm going to try and just get Ferg around that way. Obviously, I want to try and keep my distance as much as possible because I don't want to disturb her in any way, but she's definitely releasing fluids, and there's little white objects coming out, which I think is obviously just part of the amniotic sac that she's in. And I believe that some of you are commenting that it does go in and out. I know I've seen a few births before, and that does happen where it kind of will get sucked in. I was just trying to make a joke with Scotty about it, but it's interesting nonetheless, and hopefully we will get a birth at some point. Like I say, I'm just trying to keep my distance while it's still nice and out in the open, because at the end of the day, I think she's going to pop out on the left side of that bush now. Yes, there she comes. So that's her, and it looks like there's something white underneath her tail there. There we go. So there's something coming out. It's not far at all, and it's going to probably take a while still, but it is a little protrusion of something or other. Although it's difficult to make out what exactly that is at this stage, if it's just the hooves or what is coming out, but definitely there is something starting to protrude, and so we should be having a little birth at some point. How cool is this? Isn't this amazing? We've had the most epic morning, from cheetah fights to wildebeest now starting to give birth. Now, of course, I'm not sure how long this is really going to take. It's obviously going to be something that maybe is going to go in and out. I'm not sure really how long this is going to be. Generally, once we start to see the legs really starting to come out, then it's fairly quick from there. But this initial phase takes a bit of time. So maybe if we just sit and be patient for a little bit and just check how it goes, and once we actually start to see the legs coming out properly, then we'll know for sure that it is kind of going to happen this instant. For now, it might be just that beginning phase where it's kind of going in and out, and it could be hours until it actually comes out itself, but she's definitely contracting. Look at the sort of muscles on her stomach. See, she's starting to kind of sniff back there now and just wonder what's going on. She's quite a young female as well. She's not as big as some of the other females within the group, so I wonder if it's maybe her first time to calve. It'll be interesting to know. But it's amazing, if you look at her stomach, you can actually see all of the kind of blood vessels, and you can actually watch the muscles squeezing as she's trying to kind of contract and push this little one out. It is absolutely fascinating to watch, and it really is a testament to how strong a lot of these animals are. I mean, the pain that she must go through, and the discomfort, yet she still carries on feeding, goes about her business as though nothing is really too wrong at this stage. But like I say, the hooves are not far enough out yet to be an imminent birth. There comes the little one running around as well. So I think once we start to see those legs out a little further, then we know that things are going to happen rather quickly from there. It's once there's a little bit of weight that starts coming out, then it kind of goes a little bit faster. But interesting nonetheless, and like I say, what an epic way to start a day, is just to see a little new life starting to take place. It looks as though it's actually gone back inside a bit now. Right, we're going to sit and monitor this wildebeest for a bit. There are little hooves that are starting to stick out, and so hopefully this will start to kind of happen a little bit faster. But let's go back across to Brent and see what those cheetah are up to.
Well, it's still playing out here. Not much has changed. Now, Muji had a gap. He could have run. All four of the boys were on the other side, but he hasn't taken that opportunity. He could be wanting to join the coalition. He could be worried that they'll catch him in an outright open sprint. And as it's getting warmer, it's probably going to calm down quite a bit. It's going to be fascinating. I just wish we knew where the fifth musketeer was. Whether he is mating, or is he just wandering around looking for the other five. Now, as I said, we've had reports that he's mating, but no one can confirm it. So until we see him with a female, or the cheetah researchers see him with a female, I'm not taking anything for granted. Now, you will hear other vehicles around us, maybe people talking as well. Now remember, this is 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. We have got four of the musketeers, and Mugi, who's this male you can see in the middle of the bush there now, who's been cornered. But it's all calm at the moment. Just that constant growling. And I say apologies, there are other vehicles around us. You will hear engines and people. We're going to sit here. Let's wait to see what happens next. While we do that, let's go see if Jamie's had any luck looking for the missing musketeer.
The missing musketeer is giving a headache this morning. I don't know where the missing musketeer is. Look, I'm more than happy to spend the morning watching elephants playing, but they weren't so happy to spend the morning with me. They wandered off. And it is Big Cat Week, of course, Big Cat Week coming up, which means exciting times for us. And I would really quite love to find a big cat for this afternoon's rehearsal. Thank you, Nikki. I suspect if he's still mating with one of a female, presumably, one would assume, although strange things have happened in Kenya recently, I would assume that they're in here somewhere. And that makes life very difficult, because if we look at the croton thickets that we're driving around, I mean, spot a cheetah in there? Plus, everyone's abandoned us. They've all gone to watch the cheetah with Brent. Nobody wants to come and find the missing musketeer with me. I want to find the missing musketeer. I wonder where he is. This is where he was. Or they were. Everyone, what was I going to say? Oh yes, I really want to find it because I want to see, it's a really important missing part of this puzzle. We've got the 4 boys fighting with another male, all of that biological imperative to fight off a rival so that they can pass on their genes, and we've got this cheetah passing on his genes somewhere here. And I want to know which musketeer it is, because it'll tell us a huge amount about the dynamics of that group. We know it's not Dart. He's occupied elsewhere. So who is it? Where does he fit into the whole musketeer group? And which female is it? Of course, it is entirely possible. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to spot them in here. If I spot them in here, it will be the best spot of my career. I will have peaked and I will retire. Because it won't get better than that if I manage to spot them in here. What if they're not still mating? What if she's gone? And I'm just driving round in circles, round and round, staring at bushes. I suppose there are worse ways to spend a Tuesday morning, even if it is just staring at bushes. Okay, so we are going to continue to do that and see if we can spot the cheetah hiding in them. Let's head across to Taylor, who I think has had a fun morning, even if she hasn't had all that much luck with the big cats.
Was that sarcasm, Jamie? Having a little giggle. So yeah, we're having so much fun today. What we did have that was really cool, that's actually made my day, is we had a classes cuckoo, which I've never ever put on screen before, and they're beautiful birds. They're like a bright green, and it was calling, and it was sitting so still. It was really amazing. It was really the best sighting I've ever had of a classes cuckoo before. Now, a request from Fuzzman Sparkles. course, and that is if I can find a cinnamon-chested bee eater. I actually saw one not too long ago when we were down in the bottom of the forest that had caught a grasshopper, but unfortunately it flew higher than the roof and we couldn't get it no matter what angle I reversed that, so that was quite tricky. What we're also going to be doing is, because I feel like the birds are not going to be around today when I want them to be, is Elka, who is our camp manager, she got word from one of our staff members that there was a leopard with cubs around on the airstrip, and so we've banned everybody from running around on the airstrip because you don't want to be bumping into mom with little cubs. And we're not sure where exactly it is. Brent says he thinks it's here, that they are that she's denning. But there were lots and lots of zebra around here. That's not to mean that there aren't little cubs stashed away. And so it's a type of a drain, and it's quite common for hyenas, leopards, lions to utilize these throughout the various national parks. They do it in the Kruger National Park quite often. And then, of course, they're doing it here. But with all the rain that we've had, I can't imagine that she'd still have those little ones tucked away in there. They would have drowned or washed away. So I'm sure she would have moved them. So we need to keep an eye out around here. I'm just looking to see if I can see any tracks, because we have had so much rain. We should be able to see some footprints. Oh, no, don't go in there. That'll be trouble. At least if I get stuck up here, we're not far from home and someone can come and rescue me. Hello, zebra. We were munching outside my tent. Well, they do that every night. I'll have to tell you a really funny story. So the other night we were sitting up just chatting, actually at my tent, Elka and I, talking about life and such, and the next minute we hear and Elka turns and looks at me as if I had done that. And all I did was turn my torch on, my spotlight, and down in front was two zebra, and this one zebra was horrified as they'd been caught passing wind. It was hilarious. I cried with laughter. I think I woke the whole camp up because I was laughing so loudly. And then the best part of that whole story was the next morning when Manu arrived and said, "Did you enjoy that zebra last night?" And he had also heard it from his tent. That's how loud it was. It was so funny. Oh goodness, we have some good laughs in camp. We really do. So literally there's no birds flying around, which is so typical, besides that classes cuckoo which we had earlier. Oh my goodness. Now here's a question that I find particularly difficult to answer, and it's from Scarlet Sky, and it's, what has been my favorite moment since I've been in the Mara? And you can watch some zebra while I give my answer. You know what? It is so hard to just have one favorite moment in the Mara. I've been very lucky to have seen some incredible animal behavior, from the serval versus hyena to mating gerbils to herons catching snakes. I finally saw a heron catch a snake yesterday. It was incredible in our rehearsal for Big Cat Week. That was quite fun, and I've just seen amazing things. However, I thoroughly enjoyed my accident 2 days ago where I fell face first into the mud. That was quite fun. That'll definitely be a highlight. It'll be something that I remember for the rest of my life. So yeah, it was bound to happen, and if it was going to happen to anybody, of course it would be me. That is just my luck. I'm clumsy. I fall all the time. My friends all watched that video and they had such a good chuckle because they said, "Yep, we haven't seen you for a long time, but that's the Taylor we know. Nothing has changed." And I said, "Yeah, that's how it goes, isn't it?" So yeah, I don't have one particular moment. The other day we went swimming. We went safari parkouring after the big rains. We wanted to go exploring a new section to see if there were any waterfalls. We found a waterfall, and then it was just so hot we just decided to go for a bit of a dip in one of the pools as well, and it was amazing. So that's been really, really cool. I suppose the adventure side that we have here in the Mara, to be able to go out and do a bit of exploring, not in the triangle itself but just in the valleys near it, has been incredible. I don't actually know how else to describe it. Breathtaking views and scenery, and I love the Mara for exactly that. Nikki, I actually can't wait till you get a chance to come up here and go safari parkouring. You're going to absolutely love it. climbing around, and then swimming, of course. But you only want to swim after big rains, because I wouldn't want to be in any of that stagnant water. It's a good way to pick up all sorts of bacteria and things like that. Zebra, you do realize that this is an airstrip and that there are big birds that land here. Goodness gracious. Very wet. You can see all the water that we're driving through. There's a giraffe having a sit down. That's not a sight you see every day. Hello. And the giraffe up here is so relaxed. I suppose it's because they are used to having the aeroplanes landing right next to them and straight over the top of their heads. Plus we come running and walking around here, and there's herders and all sorts of people moving about, so they do become relaxed. And it's quite nice that this giraffe hasn't actually stood up and run away, because typically what they will do, I mean, a giraffe sitting down is in a very, very vulnerable position. You wouldn't want to stay in that position for too long. So I'm quite happy. I won't go any further, however. I'll probably turn around here to not disturb it. Zebra, stop stealing the giraffe's thunder. How rude. You know, these camp zebra, they just can't help themselves. And a little giraffe on the right-hand side too, which is quite precious. These are the ones that I think when I landed almost got a close shave from an aeroplane. They just didn't want to move. But it's been a beautiful morning, and sorry I didn't get to show you any birds, but we can always try again at some point. I am going to send you back to South Africa for the last few minutes of the show with Tristan to see how that mother is doing, preparing to give birth to a calf.
Well, it was amazing because it actually was disappearing, but I see it's coming out quite quickly now, so maybe we'll be able to actually see this birth. I wasn't very confident at all. I thought that we were going to have a situation where we were going to completely miss it, but it seems as though it's starting to come out more and more, so that's really good news. We're going to just try and position ourselves so that we can just see her as she moves around. She's just at the back. She's the farthest one from us, and there's definitely movement there now. It's starting to come out a lot further. Look, there you go. You can see the legs, the hooves, everything's starting to come out quite quickly. She's going into shade and she's starting to kind of push a little bit more. So hopefully that is not going to go back inside like it did just now. Just now it went back inside. Hey, out the way, little wildebeest. That one needs to move out the way so we can actually see what's going on. It seems as though it is coming out a little bit further. So let's just give it 5 minutes or so. I know it is the end of drive and theoretically we should be kind of finishing up, but let's just carry on for a little bit longer and just see how long it takes and how much it moves over the next little bit, because if it's starting to come out quite quickly, then I'm happy just to sit here for a while, because at the end of the day, this is one of nature's most incredible things, and it's not something you get to see every day. A birth is not something that just happens whenever we drive around, so it's worth just sitting and being patient and having a little bit of a look. It seems as though it's coming out a little further, although this might be a marathon effort for this poor wildebeest. It sometimes does take a while, like I say, and you see she's trying to just find a nice shady spot in order to sit. The amazing thing about it though is that there's obviously this instinct with this wildebeest that as soon as the herd moves, it sucks it up and tries to kind of move with the herd. It doesn't want to be left alone for too long, particularly in this compromised position. So every time the herd has moved, that thing has gone back inside again, and then she moves a bit, and once the herd stops and starts feeding, then she starts to push it out again. So it's amazing to watch this whole process. I want to try and just kind of keep within touching distance. I don't want to, like I say, get too close, but it would be ultimately nice just to be able to watch it unfold. Now she should be somewhere in that area. I'm just looking for the one with the tail that sits funny, which is the one straight ahead of us. I think Ferg is probably which one it is. I'm going to try to get my binoculars out so I can also see. Is that it? Yes, the tail. You see the tail's out and off to the side at the moment. You can see the hair is also quite matted. So is it going back in or is it coming out? It looked like it was further out than what it was now. Oh, I don't know. I think this is going to be one of those births that's going to take a while, but let's just give it a few more minutes and see how. So Kathy, you're asking if we can vote for overtime. Well, Kathy, you most certainly can. At this stage, I'm going to stay with it for a little while longer. Like I say, if it starts to go back in again, then we'll probably move along, because I feel like maybe us being here is disturbing things a little bit, and we don't want to do that. We obviously don't want to cause her any untoward discomfort and any extra discomfort. So it will be better if we can just kind of try and get into a situation where we can park off and watch her from a distance and just see how she goes. Unfortunately, she's heading into a bit of a thicket, so it was kind of, we have to just try and follow her a little bit. There she is, she's just there. So it is coming out more and more. There we go. There was a big push and a whole section has come out now. There it is, just disappearing. No, sit still, lady, so we can see. There we go. It is, you can see it's kind of every now and then she just pushes and a little bit extra comes out, a little bit extra. So it is amazing just to see. And like I say, she must be in such discomfort at the moment. It's not a pleasant experience, I'm sure, for a wildebeest. It must be a little confusing as well. Although I definitely, now that I've been watching her, she's given birth before, because there is a sub-adult wildebeest that follows her everywhere she goes. So when she moves, the sub-adult goes behind her. There it comes. You can see it is just walking into shot now, going back up towards it. Its horns haven't bent out completely yet, so I think she's had one before this, but it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. But it is absolutely phenomenal to watch this. It's the start of a whole new life. Isn't that crazy? We've had such an epic few months of babies. There we go. Just want to try and get a little further forward. Ferg, is that alright for you? Or more? Okay, I just thought I was alright with Ferg there. There we go. So she's a little more. Oh goodness, we've got a few sticks in the way. Maybe that's fine. Let's just go all the way forward, because otherwise we're going to have the same problem for a while. There we go. Lorne, you say this safari time is the highlight, or overtime is the highlight of your week. Well, I think it would be the highlight of many people's weeks. I don't know how many of you have seen a live birth before. I know some of you have. It is the most insane thing to witness. So it is a highlight for everybody, including myself. Even though I have seen a wildebeest give birth before, it is still the most insane thing to see. Now, it looks as though it's gone back in a little bit. Mrs. Zero, you're asking if she'll lie down. She might at some stage. She might decide that she needs to kind of just sit down and rest for a little bit. But normally what happens is they stand up like that. And the reason why is that gravity helps them a little bit. So as this little one is coming out, so the weight of it being pulled by gravity just helps to pull it out in one quick go, and then it falls to the ground. So it's, you know, when they lie down like that, they don't have that ability. It will delay the birthing process. Things will definitely take much longer. And so it's good that she stands up like this and tries to push it out. But it's definitely come out a lot more since we've been with her. You can see that the hooves are now sticking out past the tail, which we couldn't see earlier. So slowly but surely it is emerging out of that area. Now those look like the hooves that are still wrapped in obviously the sack. And so generally with antelope, hooves come first, then the body, and then the head last. But by then what happens is, because the body is out and the body is 90% of the weight, it kind of just pulls the head out, and they then land on the ground with a little bit of a thump, which is not bad, because that basically gets the heartbeat going, and they're able to then start kind of wobbling and squirming within the sack. And those sharpened hooves will break the sack open fairly quickly, and that sack then breaks, and they then kind of get out, and the mother will then come and start trying to kind of groom it and get it nice and clean. The good news is that all of them are starting to sit down and starting to relax a little bit, so hopefully that'll give her a chance to now really give a couple of good pushes, and we'll see the legs starting to extend quite far out. It definitely is going to take a bit of time. It's not going to be a quick process at all. It amazes me though that she still just goes about feeding. That's the most insane thing about it, is she's really not too perturbed about this whole thing. Beard, you're asking if this situation is totally normal? Yes, this is totally normal. This is how it goes for a wildebeest, or how any animal gives birth. Even impalas, this is how they will give birth. It is an amazing process. It is a long, drawn-out process for a lot of them. It's not very comfortable, but it is how it goes. And you'll find that this will not be the first wildebeest that we will see calving. We will see that probably, if we're lucky, we might see another 2 or 3 wildebeest give birth over the course of this. I know that one stage when Scott was here in Djuma last time, before he went up to the Mara, that he saw, I think it was 3 or 4 give birth in the space of a couple of days. So it does happen quite quickly when they do, but it's definitely coming out a lot further now. You can see her tail is being pushed out further and further. She's starting to scrape a bit of ground. Now let's see, maybe she's going to lie down there and start pushing a lot more. Yes, there we go. She's sitting now. So is she going to start pushing? I don't know, maybe she's just a bit uncomfortable. I would imagine that what she's doing now is almost forcing it back in to the stomach in a way. No, there we go. See, it's coming out a lot more now. Look, you see the little white patch? She's starting. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Now she stood up again. Now, welcome to all of our new viewers to this live action broadcast from South Africa. What you are seeing there is the start of a new life. So there's a wildebeest that is starting to give birth. This is the most incredible thing to witness. We are so fortunate. It's not every day that we get to see an animal starting to kind of give birth and to go through the whole process. So this is going to be absolutely phenomenal. It might take a little bit of time for her to start pushing it out. She's dug a little patch there now and she laid down, and hopefully what she's going to do is lie down and start to push. And as she pushes, we're going to see the legs coming out and then the body, and hopefully we'll even get to see this little one take its first wobbly little steps. Now, I almost forgot to introduce myself. My name is Tristan and this is live and interactive, which means that you guys can ask any questions that you may have about this birthing process or any comments, and you can just do that in the comment section below and we will get to as many as possible. But it is amazing to see. We've been following her for about the last half an hour and all we've got is a small little bit of the hooves, but in the last 10 minutes we're starting to see legs coming out quite a bit, and we're starting to see a situation where this whole body is going to come out. So she's now lying down. There we go. So I think she's going to start pushing. Roshni, you say this is amazing to witness new life. It is, isn't it? It is an incredible thing. So she's probably going to sit now and just push for a bit, and we'll start to see a bit of white coming out. And then I would imagine once it gets quite far, she's going to stand up and use gravity to pull it and to try and kind of get that out. Sometimes they do stay sitting. If it kind of just slides out easily, it does happen. But most of the time they stand up, and that gravity will basically pull this little baby and it will fall to the ground. So this is an amazing thing to witness. You're going to see her stomach squeezing the whole time. Tammy and Wani, you were hoping that there are no predators around. Well, I can tell you we've been out for most of the morning and it doesn't seem as though there are any predators anywhere close by. There is a big dominant male leopard that is quite far south of us at the moment, but nothing in the immediate vicinity. So I think she's all good to be able to start giving birth now and to start really pushing it out. It's also a warm part of the day. We've had our sort of cool part and we're starting to go into mid part of the day, and that means that the predators, most of them, are going to start relaxing and not actually spending too much time moving around. So it really is a great time for her to give birth. Cynthia Williams, you're wondering if they ever have twins. Now, I've never seen a wildebeest have twins, but I'm pretty sure it has been recorded somewhere along the line. I'm not sure, maybe in parts of Kenya or Botswana where there's massive herds, that maybe those species there, because it's a different species. In Kenya, it's a white-bearded wildebeest, and this is a blue wildebeest. Maybe there they've had twins, but I've never personally seen twins from a wildebeest itself. But I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility, because a number of different antelope species do have twins at times. You can see when she goes up, she goes to find a shady spot and then she digs a little patch, and then she'll lie down in that open ground. And the reason why she's digging up a patch is because she's opening up the soil so that when she's giving birth, there's a lot of fluid coming out. That fluid is going to seep into the ground quicker, and it means that there's not going to be nearly as much scent to attract predators. We were talking about predators earlier, and that they might come into these areas and be able to then kind of go after a little baby while she gives birth, or even the mother. But if she digs that hole, she can then reduce the amount of smell that is around. Lamey McGee, you say this is so cool, you're never going to get sleep. Well, I know it, isn't it? This is amazing. Who would have thought that we would have been able to bring a live wildebeest birth to all of you across the world? Like I said, at the moment it's still quite far from the actual little one coming out completely. At the moment we've just got the first hooves that have come out, and she's pushing. You can see that she's kind of contracting, and she's starting to try and kind of push as hard as she can. The problem is if there's a disturbance or if there's any sort of movement of the herd, she actually sucks it back in again. And the reason why she does that is because she doesn't want to lose touch with the herd too much. She wants to stay as close to the herd as possible so that they can help her look out for predators and any other signs of danger. So you'll find that, you see, it's actually going back in a little bit now, which is not ideal. So Cindy, if a predator came, would we cut this video? No, unfortunately not, Cindy. This is nature, this is live, it is part and parcel of life, and we are here to document everything that we can out here. So whether it be good or bad, sometimes you're going to have situations where you have amazing things like this, where we witness a live birth and we can have new life starting, or sometimes we can have situations where these kind of things take place and a predator rushes in and grabs it. It is all part of the circle of life, and it is part and parcel of how things go, and we can't be biased as to what we watch. So if a predator did come, we would warn you and we would tell you there's a little baby that's already out. Syed Ali, you saying she's giving birth and trying to eat at the same time? I know, it's incredible, isn't it? It is absolutely unbelievable to see that she is able to do that. I suppose the birthing process is using a lot of nutrients, and so for that reason she needs to actually kind of consume a little bit. I'm going to just move slightly so there will be a little starting of the car. You will also notice that there is another vehicle here with me, and that's because we are in an area where tourists do come, and so they are coming to have a little look at what's going on. Now, we just got into a better position. Ferg, is that better for you now? I think so. It's starting to get really hot and I've got a jacket on, so I'm going to quickly just take my jacket off before I die of heat, and while our wildebeest just lies down and continues trying to give birth. So she's the one that is there down on the ground at the moment. There she goes, she's up again. Let's see if any more has come out since she's been sitting. Maybe she's pushed a little bit further. You can see that stomach. She takes a big deep breath and she's probably wondering what's going on. Every now and then she'll turn around. There we go. You can see it starting to come out a little bit. And you can see the sack that it's in. Now it needs to be in a sack like that so that it actually comes out nice and easily. You can also see there's quite a lot of discomfort. She's up and she's down and she's turning around and she's looking and she's sniffing. You know, it's a confusing time for a female when she gives birth to this little one. She's probably, like I say, in quite a bit of discomfort, so it's not very pleasurable at all to be doing this, but it is part of life. Vanessa Gomez, you're wondering how long the labor is going to be for this wildebeest. Well, it depends, Vanessa. I mean, this little one is, well, this process has now been going for over an hour since we first started to see little hooves coming out. They've gone back in and then they've come out and then they've gone back in and then they've come out, and so it's going to be a situation where it takes a little bit of time. And like I was saying just now, if the herd moves, then we find that it starts to go back in again and it starts to delay the process. So she's almost able to hold off those contractions for a little bit when she's trying to kind of keep up with the herd. As soon as the herd stops, then she starts to push again and it starts to come out. So I would imagine that this is probably going to take a while longer, maybe another half an hour if things go well. Otherwise it could be another 2-3 hours until she gives birth. We don't really know. It just all depends on how she goes. Now I've lost sight of which one she is. I think she's the one right on the front side of the herd now. She seems to have gone right through everybody and positioned herself on the other side, which is a clever place to be at the end of the day. It allows her, there she is, she's just laid down and stood up again. So she's right in the shade on the other side. We're going to try and give her a space as well, because at the end of the day we don't want to interfere with her. So So, Francis, you say this is the future of the world. You're watching a wildebeest give birth on the other side of the world, sitting in your underwear. Well, I'm glad that you are comfortable and that you are in your attire of choice and that you're able to witness this. It is absolutely phenomenal. It even blows our minds. We sit here and we are able to show this to all of you across the world. It is an absolutely unbelievable thing. So I'm glad that you are enjoying it. There you go. You see it's starting to come out a bit more again. Every now and then she gives a push and a little bit more comes out, and you'll find the process is quite slow initially when the legs are coming out, but as soon as the body comes out, then it's going to come out fairly quickly. Tika, you've just joined us. Well, we are live from South Africa in the southern tip of the African is starting to give birth. So you can't see it nicely now because she's facing towards us, but as soon as she turns her body, you're going to see a nice big white sort of protrusion out of her backside, which is just the hooves that have started to come out, still covered in the sack, and that's why it's got that white coloration. And like I say, it's going to be slow to start as the legs kind of come out. That's a slow part, but once the body starts to come out, the weight of that body is going to pull it quite quickly, and then it's a kind of big drop to the ground, and then it will fall. So Jasmine, you're wondering why the herd doesn't stop moving while she gives birth. Well, the reason for that, Jasmine, is because at the end of the day, the herd still needs to gain nutrients. It needs to be able to feed, and they know that at this time of the day the predators aren't too active, and so therefore much easier for them to be feeding now. It's much safer for them. Also, the herd has been coming from a big open clearing. They're now starting to look for a bit more shade because they don't want to be right out in the sun all day, and so they need to look after themselves. Also, there's a female that's got her own little baby that she's already given birth to about 2 days ago, which is lying off on the left hand side here, and so she needs to look after her baby. They've all got their own priorities, and so that's why the herd keeps moving, and it's up to the pregnant female to kind of keep going. And what you'll find though is once it's born, sometimes these females will actually segregate themselves a little bit just so that this bonding process with the baby can take place. So we'll have a situation where the baby can join with the adult female. It can know what the scent is, know what that mom looks like, so that when they join the herd again, that it doesn't get lost. And so that's why the herd also kind of moves away, and she sometimes won't worry about it too much. Now, so Nikki, who's in final control, is directing me. I've got a bit of a problem with my earpiece, and I can't actually hear very much of what's going on at all. So I'm just trying to fiddle with that. So I do apologize while we kind of watch our wildebeest go into some shade and see if it's not going. Now, I battled to catch the name. I do apologize, but does any extended labor affect the baby? So no, not really. The baby obviously is going to come out at some point, and there's not really too many reasons for extended labor. Like I say, I mean, other than the herd moving, but it'll get to the point where this female can't move anymore, and she'll then just start to give birth and be left behind. So no, there's no major effects. I mean, if it really got to the point where the baby got stuck, then yes, then death could be a possibility. That little calf might unfortunately get stuck, and then it does happen that it gets, unfortunately will expire from that. I have seen a giraffe give birth where the babies got stuck in the mother, and unfortunately it died in that position. So you do have to be a bit careful. Now, she has laid down. I can't see too much of whether she's still pushing. It seems as though there was a lot more starting to come out as she lay down, so I don't want to stress her in any way. We'll leave her to sit there for a bit. She will stand up again. She is going to be fairly mobile and move around, so we'll just give her a chance to do it. Like I say, we don't want to interfere at the end of the day. While this is the most incredible thing to witness, and to be able to see this is a very rare thing, we also don't want to disturb her. She is, like I say, in a bit of discomfort, and this is a stressful time for her, so we try and keep our distance a little bit and let her go about her business without interrupting her too much. But what we will hope for is, like I say, is that she'll stand up and that little one will just drop out, and we'll be able to then see it kind of being broken out of that sack and maybe even wobbling to its feet for the first time. That would be first prize. Marisa Rudio, you want to know how fast a wildebeest will stand up after birth? Well, it's about 15 minutes until it's actually starting to wobble to its feet, and within about half an hour it's running around here. And the reason why it has to be so fast is because predators are around, and so things like hyenas and leopard and lion and cheetah, these animals, if they come across a little baby, they're going to chase it. And if it's not able to move, then it's just very easy to chase it and very easy to be able to pull it down. And so they have to be able to stand fairly quickly, and we have to be able to move with the herd. We're also talking about just now how the herd moves away from these wildebeest and from this pregnant wildebeest that's giving birth, and so it needs to be able to move so that they can then start to catch up again and join up for safety in numbers. So it does move really fast. It's an absolutely amazing thing to witness, because if you think of us as people, it takes us so long to be able to try and have movement and to control our own movements and to be able to walk and talk as babies. Yet these guys, it's amazing that within 15 minutes they're moving around. So it seems as though it's going back in a little bit, although there's another bulge there, so maybe this is now the other set of legs starting to come out. It's all obviously got to be in the right positions, and things kind of have to be pushed out a little bit. So as she drifts off, I'm going to just try and keep the distance that we've got at the moment. She's heading towards a shady section by the looks of things. So Denise, no, I've never seen a female wildebeest adopt a baby from another female. Then let's say the female of that baby was killed. I've never seen another one come in and adopt it. Unfortunately, out here, animals typically look after themselves, and even mothers, when they have given birth, while they will try to defend their little calf and try and look after it as much as possible, when it comes to that fight or flight syndrome, if a lion rushes in, often they'll run off and then they'll try and come back and distract that predator. But sometimes it's not always the case, and they then will kind of leave their little one to be eaten, particularly in a situation like this when a birthing is taking place. If a predator rushed in, that female will just run and leave that little one lying in the sort of grass and exposed to a predator. Susan, yes, the afterbirth most certainly would attract predators. Things like vultures and hyenas and lion and leopard most certainly would be attracted by that scent. The thing is, though, is that these animals are quite clever. Even though they are grass eaters and they are not animals that are going to go after meat, they will clean the baby. They'll basically consume a lot of that afterbirth in order to leave that scent and to make sure that that scent is no longer around. So it is an incredible thing to witness. It is an amazing thing to see how she'll go about actually kind of consuming this afterbirth to make sure, and she'll even cover it up with dust, so she'll use her hooves and scrape over where she gave birth, and then she'll move out of that area as quick as possible. So Kathy, you're wondering if I've witnessed any other births, if so, anything special. Well, Kathy, I've been very fortunate. I have witnessed a number of other births. So I've seen a giraffe give birth, which is incredibly special just because of the dynamics involved. It's not exactly a small creature, and the poor little baby gets dropped from quite a height, and so it is amazing to watch this massive animal with this, this little calf coming out and then falling to the ground, and it falls to the ground with a bit of a thump, patted just to get their heart beating properly. It's the same with the giraffe. The giraffe had that same similar situation. As that falls, it kicks that heart into starting to go, and they then start to kind of be able to breathe and move around. So giraffe I've seen impalas give birth, which is a medium-sized antelope, for those of you that don't know, that occurs in the South African parks, and particularly in this northeastern corner of South Africa. I have seen buffalo give birth. I've seen an elephant give birth. So I've been very fortunate. I've seen a lot of amazing sightings, and it's always equally as special. It doesn't matter what animal it is. It's just to be able to witness that and to see how this process goes, and to see those first steps is always an incredible experience. Now, it seems as though she's drifting once again. I was hoping she was going to get into that shade and she was going to rest there and start to kind of really push it out, but it seems as though she's carrying on. The rest of the herd is moving, so we're going to just try and keep up with her a little bit. Andrea, yes, the calf is going to make quite a bit of noise after it's born. Once it's kind of out of that sack, then it starts to squeak and to grunt and to moan a little bit, and it will make quite a bit of sound in trying to kind of establish what's going on and what all of this kind of new world is. So there will be some noise that comes out of it. It's not obviously for too long a period, because otherwise that's very dangerous for the little baby, because if it makes too much noise, then predators will find that and will be able to utilize that to their advantage. But it will definitely make some sound. It will kind of talk to its mom. Earlier there's a little baby that was born in here, and like I said, it was born about two days ago, and that little baby earlier was making quite a few little noises as it was trying to keep up with the herd and bouncing around with its mother. So yes, they do make noise. Now I'm just trying to keep up with the one that's giving birth. She's on the right side of the herd, just behind that shady section. There we go. So it's difficult because she kind of is going behind bushes, but she's in that area there, Ferg, so behind all of those others who are kind of forming a circle around her at the moment. They'll all move eventually, though. It will distribute out and she'll be exposed fairly shortly. So there she is. She's in the background. I wonder if she's going to lie down a bit there. You see what I was saying, though? She goes down for a bit, pushes, contracts, then stands up a little bit, moves, down, up, and this is how it will go until eventually that little one comes out. Not an easy process. It's a credit to all you mums out there, because at the end of the day, this really is a seriously difficult part. Now that one is not obviously going into labor, that's just one that's decided it's toilet time, so please excuse that one. It's kind of getting involved in our birthing process here. Let's see, well, she's gone right off the front there, Ferg. Let's try and catch up with her. So let's just try and catch up a little bit here. Where is she? I think she's come around the front of the herd now. Should be fairly easy to see her, but we don't seem to be making too much progress in it coming out at the moment. It still seems to be at a similar length as to what we saw earlier. So there's a situation where, there we go, you can see it's still just kind of sticking out at the same sort of length as it was. Although she's really pushing, you can see she's kind of contracting those stomach muscles. You see how her breathing is starting to get heavier. There we go, it's starting to come out a little bit more. You see, there we go, the weight of it is starting to kind of pull on it, and she's really pushing now. Look at that there, you can actually see it moving. How amazing is this? This is so cool to see. Amazing. You know, Africa is not always about the big predators and all of the other things that go on out here, the big animals. Sometimes seeing something like this is just as special as seeing any of those. And you can see she's really pushing her stomach now. Big breaths to try and push out. So it's starting to come now. It's going to be not too much longer. You can see all the fluid inside of the sack. There we go. Come on, girl. You're almost there. So I'm sure all the girls in the final control are all shouting push and trying to get it out, as I'm sure many of you at home are as well. So absolutely phenomenal. Come on, girl. You're almost there. She's gone a long way now. Those front legs are out, well, the legs are out, most of it. You can see it's starting to get a little uncomfortable now for her, so she's not walking as much. That back legs are starting to kind of sit down a little bit, and she's definitely pushing. She's no longer feeding like she was earlier. Come on. Oh no, it seems as though it's gone in a little bit. Come on. Nancy, you're wondering if one giving birth starts the others to give birth. No, not necessarily. So what happens with these guys is that they're all mated over a very short period of time. And so the conception of these little ones is all very, very close together, which means that the birthing is generally all very close together. So it's not a case of one triggers the others. It's more that they all got mated at the same time, and therefore they fell pregnant at the same time. And so their duration of pregnancy is very similar, and then their birthing is within a couple of weeks of each other. And it's the right time of year, and the reason why they give birth at this time of the year is because we are around the rainfall period. So we've had a lot of rain this week, which means that everything is greening up and is starting to kind of get quite nice and lush, and that is perfect for a grazing animal. Now, I believe the ambiotic sac broke. I'm battling to see a little bit. It's starting to get quite glary out here, so I'm trying to kind of keep up with her and watch what's going on, but let's see. Right, let's see now. We're going to go around a little bit. There's a road here, and so if I can get onto a road, it's actually going to be better, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to make nearly as much noise, and I can be a lot more kind of quiet about my movements. So I'm going to try and head more towards the road section. Trish, you're wondering how much roughly this calf will weigh when it's born. Trish, I'm not 100% certain, but given its size, I mean, I'll have a hazarded guess at this, but I would imagine given its size, it would probably weigh, I would say probably about 3 kilograms, so 6 pounds, somewhere around there. That would be about its weight. Now, I can't see which one it is that is actually giving birth now. Where's she gone? She must be in amongst all of them at the moment. So maybe, oh, there she is. She's lying down right at the back. In fact, she's right next to the road. Hold on, Ferg, sorry. I'm giving Ferg a tough time. I'm making him work a lot this afternoon, well, this morning, should I say. So we're just going to go around onto this little road here, which is going to help us because she's lying not too far from the road. Also, there's going to be a bit of a shade so that we also don't get completely baked by the sun, because it is very, very warm. There's a number of other animals around as well. There's a few impalas, which is quite typical. Impalas are often associated with herds of wildebeest because they both like similar terrain. There we go. There she is. Come on, girl. Keep pushing. So she's just lying down in the shade. That's the best place for her right now. She just needs to keep kind of having those contractions. You can see her breathing rate is quite fast in comparison to a lot of the others, and that's because not only is she giving birth, it's quite warm now, and so she's just trying to kind of control her energy and get enough oxygen into that body to be able to go through this physical exercise that she's doing. Absolutely fascinating. So I believe a lot of you are commenting that you saw the sac breaking, so that is amazing news. Hopefully that means that it's going to kind of come out a little bit quicker. There was obviously a little bit of fluid buildup, and that might have caused a bit of a sort of blockage, if you want to call it that. Maybe with that fluid leaking out, it's just going to help with her being able to get it out. Now, of course, the grass is quite long where she's sitting now, so we're not going to be able to see too much of the progress while she's sitting like this. We're going to have a situation where she'll sit for a while, and when she stands up, we'll get a better idea of how far that little one has come out while she's been sitting. The thing is, though, is what we can see is that her stomach is definitely pushing and contracting, and she definitely is putting effort into trying to get this little calf out and trying to get it into this world. Rico, you're wondering if other members of the herd know that she is giving birth? Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, there will be a scent, obviously, from the discharge of the fluid that is coming out of her. Also, her behavior, where she's sitting down and up and down. They'll notice that there's something going on. And most of these adult females will have been through this themselves, and so they'll just kind of sit around, and they're not moving very fast at all. They're just moving in a small circular space. We haven't gone too far this morning. Even though it looks like they're constantly moving, they're actually just moving in a small circle. So they know that she's in a bit of discomfort, and they'll know that there is something going on amongst them. Once it's born, though, that's a different story, because that's when if it makes a little bit of noise, everybody gets quite curious, and you'll often find all of the adults come in and sniff and have a little look and just check what's going on and see and welcome this new addition to the world. Once that's happened, then obviously the mom has time to with the baby by herself. So it's an amazing thing to watch, and like I say, it's with the world so full of negative things these days, that positive things like this and watching a new life is a joyous experience. Anna Marie, you're saying half soon. Look, you can see the legs now. There's no longer the sack. It's the little legs and the little hooves. Come on, girl. Keep pushing. You're getting there. So the little one will nurse fairly quickly. As it starts to wobble to its feet, then generally the female is already trying to get it to nurse, to get that strength, to start getting it that nutrient-rich milk, so that it can get all the the nutrients it needs to be able to survive and to be able to get the strength to run around and move around and go after and keep up with the herd. So it will be very soon after it gives birth that it will start to suckle. Come on, girl, you're getting there. Shame. It must be such a difficult thing. And you can imagine how stressed she must be during this whole process. Not only is she giving birth and it's a little uncomfortable, but on top of all of that, she knows that there's predators around here, so she will be wanting to try and get this little baby out as quick as possible. She will want to try and get it over and done with. It's taxing on her physically, so it is a really tough thing for her to go through, but she's doing an incredible job so far, that's for sure. She's kind of doesn't seem too perturbed at this stage. She seems as though she's still happy to graze a little bit and get a bit of nutrients of her own as she goes. Laura, you're wondering if they normally give birth on the move instead of lying down. Well, you might have seen some footage of wildebeest giving birth in a different part of Africa. So up in the eastern part or northeast of us, in the Masai Mara and Serengeti system, actually in the Serengeti system is where they give birth. Those wildebeest, they're constantly moving, and it's massive herds, and they're constantly kind of going from place to place to place as they look for food. And so yes, there you see them often giving birth while on the move, whereas here our wildebeest are a little bit more territorial. So we have a situation where we have a very different ecosystem to there. Our area is not big open grassland. As you can see, we have a number of trees and a number of bushes, and that means that the wildebeest try and kind of stay within clearings around, and so they don't move nearly as much, and that means that it allows them to be able to have a process like this where they can just sit and give birth and be a much more stationary birth than what you would see in those big migratory herds that move around. The other thing is that it's also starting to get hot now, so she's looking for shade. Now you can see the hooves are not really moving too much, are they? It seems as though they're still stuck in the same sort of area. Shame. Can't be comfortable, let's be honest. It's not a very comfortable process, but there we go. See, she's pushing. So Tuli, you say you don't envy her at all. Well, Tuli, I think there'd be a number of people that would agree with you. Most ladies, I'm sure, that have had children would agree that giving birth out in a field with no sort of help of any doctors or nurses, with predators around, would not be a fun experience at the best of times. And then add into that this is a rather slow labor, and there's also little sharp hooves as well. It gets a little bit difficult. So hopefully this will start going. She's definitely pushing. Look, you can see she gets her back legs down a bit, and then she squeezes that tummy, and then that will try and push it out a little bit further. Look, you see, she's trying. I wonder if those hooves are just going to push out that bit further. Come on, girl. Oh, I don't know. There, they're coming a little bit. Are they moving a bit? It looks like it. It looks like there's a bit of movement there. So Vladimir, if predators were to come, I mean, you'd have a situation where most certainly the herd would try and make a lot of noise, try and kind of snort and try and deter those predators as much as possible. Whether they would protect her, probably not. At the end of the day, it's all about self-importance when it comes to being an antelope species. They'll tend to kind of go and try and just protect themselves as much as possible. There you go. She's crossing the road onto the other side now, and she's kind of broken off the rest of the group now. Maybe she knows that this little one is about to come out, and she's now just kind of prepping herself a little bit. So I'm going to just go back and try and keep up with her, because she has crossed behind me. She seems to be quite relaxed though, which is good news, because she's not really getting too distressed by our presence, which is what I hoped. I didn't really want to have a situation where we in any way inconvenience her. So there we go, that should be fine from there. It's amazing to see how the hooves are still white though. Now, what is absolutely amazing about all of this is that for me, this is a very special moment. Watching an animal give birth is rare. It's not something we see all the time. Ferg, have you ever seen one give birth?
No.
This is the first time for my cameraman Ferg to see a live birth. But it is not just me and Ferg. There are 45,000 people watching this. So this is about to be one of the most famous wildebeest that has ever ever lived, because its first moments are, well, its feet so far have seen 45,000 people, so its feet have definitely seen a lot more people than most other wildebeest in the world. Look, and the little feet are moving every now and then. Do you see that? There's a little kind of flex of the feet, and it's amazing that those little hooves are still white. They'll eventually obviously start to turn a blackish coloration, but she's definitely trying. There you see she's digging up a bit of soil now, and I think she's going to lie down there again shortly, but she is pushing and pushing. Come on, girl, there you go. Those legs have definitely come out a lot further. There we go, there we go. Come on. How incredible is this? Isn't this just the most amazing thing? And like I say, the fact that we are able to bring this to you live from the middle of the African bush, it is just absolutely astounding. And I hope all of you are enjoying this just as much as Ferg and I are. We were kind of slowly meandering our way home, and now to have witnessed this is absolutely amazing. Leon, the calf will be running within half an hour. It's going to be running, so as soon as it's out and it's standing, it will wobble around for a bit, and then it will start to make short little runs around the mom, and within half an hour it's moving. It's obviously not exactly stable, and it's not exactly a fluid, elegant run like we'll see from an adult, but it most certainly is running, and it is starting to move then. So within half an hour, within about 2 hours, it's pretty mobile. It actually will move all over the place. It'll still wobble a bit when it stops running, but it will have that running motion, and it has to. We were talking about it earlier that unfortunately predators abound in these areas, and so it needs to be able to move very quickly after it's born. But at least it looks as though she's found a spot that she likes, and she's starting to really kind of settle there for a bit, and that's good news for us. She might go a bit more onto her side just to try and get a little bit more of that body exposed, because at the end of the day she doesn't want to sit. She's definitely pushing. Look at how she's giving it effort. You see, look at her whole body lifting. You see that? And you can actually see the hooves every now and then. Look, she's pushing so hard. Come on, girl. This is so incredible. There we go. Come on. Now, a lot of you are saying thank you for extending our broadcast. So we don't only do action broadcasts, we also do broadcasts twice a day, and we do a 3-hour safari twice a day, and so we have a number of regular viewers that were watching that safari, and our safari there finished, and like I was saying, we were kind of on our way home when we bumped into this, and so there's a number of you are saying thank you for extending. Well, it's our absolute pleasure. I mean, this is just the most phenomenal thing, like I say, not only for all of you, but for myself and Ferg as well. To be out here and to witness this is really something absolutely incredible. So I'm very chuffed that we're out here, and we actually have to thank one of our other presenters, Scott, who was the first one to stumble across this when he was on his bushwalk this morning, and he saw it from a distance, and he then radioed us and told us to come and have a look, because the wildebeest won't be as relaxed on foot if we're on foot than when we are in a vehicle. But it is amazing to think that those little hooves that you see sticking out are what's attached to just what's to the left of that adult female. There's a little tiny calf that's coming up, and you're going to come and investigate and see what's going on. So there is the little one. So that's the 2-day-old one, and it's coming just to see. And so those little hooves that you see there in 2 days will be like that, and moving around and walking around. You can see it's a completely different color to the adults, and that's because of it needs it for camouflage. When that little one lies down, have a look now how it just blends into the grass. Isn't that amazing? So when it lies down like that, that's its strategy, is to try and lie down, to try and then blend in and to stay away from predators. So that's why they're a different color. If they were the dark color, they would contrast heavily against the grass and be much easier to be seen by predators. Come on, girl, you've got to keep pushing. I think she's just got to clear those hips. Once she clears the hips of this little wildebeest and the tummy area, then it's those front legs and head will come out quite quickly. So it's a little process, unfortunately. You see, she's also wary. She's got to stand up. She's got to look around, make sure that there's nothing stalking about, and make sure that she's got a situation where she's safe. So she'll just have a little look around, and then she'll probably start to push again. So I believe a few of you are commenting that this little baby shall now be known as Footloose. Well, I think it's a very apt name, considering its feet have spent far more time in the world than the rest of it so far. And, well, for the rest of its life, its feet will have been out for longer than the rest of its body. So we can call it Footloose for sure. Now, come on, girl. You've got to do a few more pushes. So Nicole, you're saying that the hooves that are so white looks just like you apparently are a horse rider and that you have seen horses give birth, and you were saying that the white bits are a protective covering of the hooves so that it doesn't cut the female on the inside of her stomach or inside of her body when she's then giving birth, and that it will eventually dry up and fall off, and that's when the black part is then exposed to the rest of the world. Thank you very much for that, Nicole. That is very insightful information, and I knew something about it, but I had completely forgotten about it. The last birth I saw was probably about 2 years ago, so it just goes to give you an idea of how difficult it is to see births, and so it's very nice to have a bit of input from all of you. And this is the best thing about live safaris, is that not only can we show you guys all of this, but that we have a massive community of people together that can learn from one another, and everybody's got a bit to add and a bit of contributions to give, and that's always a special part. It's like I say, with a world that's full of so many difficult times and difficult things, when people can come together under a common banner and enjoy and share knowledge and have a good environment, that's always a very special thing to have in this world. Now come on, little one, Footloose, it's time for you to meet everybody. You need to start coming out. Look at the little ones. look at that. You see it twitching? So I think that's more her body, kind of her muscle spasms that she's having as she's trying to push this out. But isn't this incredible? It is absolutely amazing. So cool. Look at that. Little signs of life there. I don't know if it's the little baby or if it's her at this stage that's twitching, or I'm not 100% sure, but you can see how it does go in and out a bit, so she is really trying to push. It's also the angle that those feet are coming out. When we see her from this right side, she looks as though she hasn't really gotten very far at all, but when it turns to the left, you can actually see the feet are out at an angle, and they're almost going out at almost sort of right angle to her backside, and so that's why it doesn't look as though it's as far. When she turns the other way, it's actually a lot further, and so she's starting to get close to where the sort of hip area is now of this little baby. And like I say, once that hip part comes through and the rest of the stomach, then hopefully it'll start to fall down and come out a bit quicker. Stephanie, I don't, to be honest. I have no idea how much in terms of a quantity of amniotic fluid is inside there. It would be an interesting question to ask. I will try and find out from somebody, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe some of you have got answers and you can let us know in the comment sections below, and we'll be able to work it out. But I'm not sure anybody has weighed it, to be honest. It would be interesting. I would love to actually know. There's been a lot of dribbling from her today, so earlier we saw her when she's just started this whole process. There was a bit of discharge, and now as she's walking around, so there's kind of fluid just leaking out constantly. So I'd imagine that there's a fair amount. I mean, obviously I have absolutely no idea, so giving a figure would be a complete fabrication and lie, and we don't want to be doing that. So I'm not sure, to be honest. I would be interested to know, though. It would be interesting to know if there's a kind of differs from different antelope species, or if there is a fairly kind of set ratio according to the size. There we go. Come on. Shame, girl. Probably very uncomfortable at this stage. But this is absolutely phenomenal. To think that we, like I say, are watching this and it's just happening as we're speaking is really just the most insane thing. Come on, girl. Tammy, you're wondering if we'll be able to tell if it's a boy or a girl, or how long will it take until we know that information? Well, when it's born, it's quite difficult, to be honest. I suppose we could look between its legs and we might be able to see a little bit of male genitalia or female genitalia, but it's only if it positions itself in exactly the right way that we can see that. So it's not easy, and the reason why is because how we sex wildebeest generally outside of the times when they're babies is that they have a slightly different horn structure. So the males have a much bigger set of horns, big wide gap between their horns, and they tend to have a very dark face, whereas the females, they tend to have a bit of a rusty red sort of top end of their head, and then they have these very narrow horns. And so you'll have a situation, that's how we kind of just tell the difference. But when they're born, obviously they don't have those horns yet. The horns haven't grown, and they're all the same uniform color. And so it is a little bit more tricky when they're first born. But if we get it to turn around and it's able to see kind of its back end, we might be able to sex it straight away, which would be quite nice, wouldn't it? It would kind of round out our whole morning to be able to know if it's a little boy or a girl. I suppose Footloose is a nice generic name for either one, although I feel like it lends itself to a boy. So John, you're wondering how many months until the mother mates again. Well, she shall be mating probably in April, March, April. That's when she'll be mating again, and that's when she'll start to kind of conceive and then give birth again in December. So it's a kind of process that goes through. She unfortunately is moving off a little bit now. I'm not going to move for now because she's still within range that we can see her. She is just drifting slowly towards a bit of a thicket. I think it's quite hot, so she's definitely not going to be sitting in the sun. She's going to try and find a bit of a shady area in which to be able to maybe lie down again, much like what she did just now. There she goes over the road. Come on, girl, you're almost there. I suppose almost there is a bit of a probably not the right term, given that she's only got about 10% of that body actually out of her at this stage. She's still got a long way to go. Now I'm just going to try and reposition ourselves once more, but I'm going to turn around to do so because otherwise I'm not going to be able to see what's So sorry about that. That's one of the things about coming to you live in the middle of the African bush, is that there are sometimes a few little technical issues, but we're all sorted again. We're back up and running, and so we can carry on with our process of following this saga as it unfolds. Let's see if we can just get somewhere here where we can park off and still be able to see her. I'm not sure where she's gone now. Oh, there she is. She's straight through between all of these thickets, I think. It's getting quite dense in here, and it's going to get denser as we go. As we sort of move through this, the thickets are going to become worse and worse and worse, which is not going to be very easy at all to kind of follow, but we'll try our best. I mean, hopefully she's not going to be moving too fast. At least she's not running around all over the place at this stage. That's not her. That's who I thought it was. That's not her. Where's she gone? Fer, can you see her? No, it's not her. I don't know where she's gone. She's somewhere in here. I'll obviously have to try and find her again. I thought that was her as coming out of that thicket, but it doesn't seem to be. The last time I saw... So, Jody, you're wondering if the other wildebeest around her are being protective? No, not really. They're just going about their daily business. They're feeding, heads are down, kind of just grazing along. I mean, at the end of the day, their movement is probably a lot slower than what it would normally be on a day when this female wasn't stopping as much as she is. You might find that they would have walked a little bit more. It's also the time of day lends itself to the herd moving a lot slower. We're now getting into the hotter part of the day. It is our summer months, and temperatures can soar to 40 degrees or 120 Fahrenheit, and so it's not an easy time for these guys to be moving around a lot. They try and kind of find shady areas where there's green grass that they can graze off, and so what's happening now is everyone's just kind of finding a place to eat that's nice and shady, and they'll be enjoying a little bit of a cool breeze under that shade, and so that's what's going on. And you'll find that, you know, her sort of movement is slowing them down a little bit, but they're not actually protecting her in any way. If a lion came running in now, I can guarantee that they'll all scatter away, and they would leave that female to fend for herself. They wouldn't try and help her in any way. It's all about self-preservation when it comes to these females. Now, I'm not sure which one it is. It's got to be one of these that's coming through. I'm hoping it is, at least. Otherwise, she's still in the thicket. Let me go forward a bit for you, Ferg, because maybe she's going to be in this little thicket here. I'm just trying to see if she's not... You see her? No, I don't see her either. I see the baby little one over there, and then there's a couple other wildebeest in the thicket there. Maybe that's where she is inside that dense, deep, thick brush over there. That's a good place, I suppose, if you want to be giving birth. Yes, there I can see her now. Her tail's straight out. So, Susan, you've just joined us. Welcome to this live safari. She's been birthing now. We've been going for about an hour and a half since we first spotted her. Prior to that, we're not quite sure. She just had little white hooves sticking out, so I think she was just starting to go into labor when we found her, and so it's about an hour and a half since it started, but it could be a while longer still. She's got a long way to go at this stage, and it's going to take a bit of time. I just don't know where she is. I saw her just now, just in the background, going kind of to our right hand side, so she seems to be just behind those guys in the thickets, and I'm sure she'll come out fairly shortly, and then we'll be able to see how much progress she's made in the last couple minutes. But it's going to be a while still. I don't think we're going to see it right this second, but you never know. Like I say, once it starts to come out, then things happen fairly quickly. Now, earlier I was saying that she was coming out hips first, but it's not actually the case. She comes out head first. I don't know why I said hips first. I was just getting all too excited about things, but it'll all come out head first. So these are the front legs, then the head, and then down and out the other way. No, I don't think it's that one, Ferg. I think there's still one further back that might be it, although let's just have a little look. Going to be interesting to see. I can't see any others around that could potentially be her. The last time I saw her was just coming to this particular section, so let's just see. She's definitely pregnant though. If it's not, no, it's definitely not her. Her tail's not moving nearly enough to be giving. Let me just try and see if I can just reposition slightly. There she might be. I see a wildebeest through there. There she is. She's straight through. Can you see her there, Ferg? Yeah, so she's in that thicket. She was just lying down. That's why we couldn't see her. She was behind all of it. So there, she's the one at the back that's sitting watching us now. So let's just try and stay where we are. She's found herself a nice, thick, dense, deep area in which to sit. Obviously not great for us to be able to see what's going on, but perfect for her in her ability to give birth, because at the end of the day, it's nice and sort of shaded. There's a little bit of protection. Even if something were to come, she camouflages quite well, and so it's not a bad place for her to kind of spend a bit of time if she wants to push a little bit more. But let's just see when she turns. She's kind of turned her head now, so I'm hoping her bum will swing round a little bit. There we go. There the hooves are. We can see those. Now she's coming out slowly now, so she should start coming out into the open, which will help us a little bit. Now, it seems as though she's still... Is she behind that one, Ferg, or is it that one? It's difficult. She's kind of behind all of them, and they look so similar. It's not easy to tell one from another. She's definitely not at the back there. She's moved a little bit to the left. I think she's the wildebeest right at the back now, in the thicket. Somewhere in there. Like I say, they are not the easiest to tell apart. It's not like they have big spot patterns or names written across them. They all look very, very similar. So LJK, you're wondering at what age will the wildebeest change shape and color and start looking like adults? Well, it's a slow process. So as they grow, they start to then change and start looking more like the adults. Now, there are some in here that are last year's calves. So I'm trying to find one for you that I can be able to show you that would give you an idea of what it looks like. But there we go. That one right there that Ferg has got you, that is a year, just over a year old. So that would be what they look like in a year's time. You can see they are far closer to what the adults look like by then. So it's a slow, gradual process. There's the little calf calf when it's brand new. So that's not the one that was born, obviously. That is our little 2-day-old one. But that's how it starts, and then eventually it ends up over a course of a year, 2 years, will start resembling more of an adult. The horns themselves will take much longer. The horn structure is going to slowly but surely start bending outwards and going more wide, and then you'll find, or wider should I say, and you'll find that those will be kind of in place by about 3.5, 4 years. They pretty much set at that adult position. Right, come on girl, let's see where you are. She's difficult to say. She's that back wildebeest by the looks of it. Guides monkey, you're wondering, does the mother and all the oxpeckers feed off the placenta on the calf? So the mother will clean it for sure. The mother is going to use its teeth to pull off bits of that amniotic sac. It's going to clean it, it's going to groom it and try and get rid of all the blood and all the fluid that is all over it. And the oxpeckers, not so much. I mean, they will land on it and they will feed off maybe if there's a bit of blood on there, because remember, oxpeckers don't only feed off parasites in the forms of ticks. They are blood eaters as well. So seguinivores is the name, is that they will feed off blood as well. So they'll sometimes even open wounds on animals to get that blood. So if there is blood on this little one, you might find oxpeckers on it, but most of it's going to be done by the mother. The mother is going to be the one that's really going to focus and concentrate and try and get a situation where it is able to kind of, oh, she's pushing hard now, come on. I wonder how far it is. It's such a difficult angle where we are now. We can't see nicely how much has come out since we last saw. It doesn't look like that much, does it? It almost looks as though it's in a pretty similar place to where it was before. But she is slowly but surely moving in our direction, so maybe we will get to see a little bit more. There we go, she's coming this way. So you can see she's just watching this little area. She's just checking. What's amazing to me is how she's positioned herself within the sort of thicket with all of these others around her. She's almost kind of using them in a way as a protective area. So it's incredible to kind of watch her go about it. And there we go. She's now crossing out and into a little bit more bush and a bit more of a thicket. Hopefully she'll stop right there for a while, and then we'll be able to watch her and see if she can actually sort of give birth in the open rather than in the thickets. And there she goes, still into the thicket. Let's see, I'm just trying to see what we're going to be able to do here, because as she goes into the thicket, it's going to become very difficult for us to actually get any view of her. Let's go back a bit, Ferg, because ultimately we don't want to go through this part. Side here. Girl, where are you going? So this little one, where is she? Is that her there? So she's just drifting off into a shady area. Now, something just spooked her. She kind of went charging off at one of the others, and they've all run along. So you will see that there are a few poles in here, which is power lines that take power to the camp that we spend our time at, because we live out here in the reserve itself. So I do apologize about those. So she just had a little trot forward. I think it was because there was one that was too close to her, and she kind of just pushed the one in the back and then moved forward. So that caused a bit of a disturbance in the whole herd. Now, did you see her? No. So, Ali Safari, you were asking how long the gestation is on one of these wildebeest. Well, it's about 270 odd days, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. It's about that period, so 270, somewhere there. I don't know. So it's between 265 and 275. So in that general vicinity. Now, where is she moving in the background? This way. Okay. Now, Nikki, unfortunately I didn't get to hear you nicely, but I feel like it was a funny comment that you just made to me, because Fergus has just let out a little squeal behind me and a little giggle. So, was it a manly laugh, Fergus? Fergus says to me it wasn't a squeal. Cindy, you say you bet I live in a tent and smell like a real man and that you are living your dream in this video. Well, yes, Cindy, I didn't want to say that, but this is how it is. I will show you my tent just now because the wildebeest are going towards my tent. So I will have a tent that I can show you, and, you know, smelling like a real man out here is part of being part of Africa at the end of the day, isn't it, Ferg?
Yeah, real smelly, man.
So Ferg says a real smelly man. That's not nice, Ferg. I feel like I'm much better than some of our other co-workers in this particular area, so we'll try and keep it as clean as possible. But I don't know where she's gone now. At this stage, she's now moved off and slightly veered away from where I am. I think she might be coming out there somewhere. Was that her, Ferg?
No, but I think she's getting grouchy, chasing friends.
I think she's starting to get a little on the grumpy side because she seems to be chasing some of the others as well. So, Chris Rogue, you're wondering, are we okay with skipping breakfast in order to watch this birth? Well, Fergus's stomach is definitely not very hungry at this stage. I mean, not very happy because it's making lots of noise behind me, and I believe some of the FC girls are fairly hungry. But it's not every day we get to see this, so I'm quite happy sitting here. I know some of the others maybe aren't, but, well, tough luck for them because I'm in control of what's going on right now, so we're going to stay for a little bit longer. No, I'm joking. It's at the end of the day, part of our time out here and part of our way of doing things is to document all kinds of wildlife and to see amazing things. And so if we have to spend a little extra out, well, that's okay. It's not like I don't mind being out in the wilderness. It's part of the reason why I live out here is because I can spend my time out here. So, I mean, breakfast will come a little bit later and we'll be okay. Carl Holland, you're wondering how many nipples does a wildebeest have? Well, as far as I know, they only have 2 teats. So you can see them hanging down there. Oh, now she's turned and you can't see them anymore, but they seem to be just, maybe if I move again, sorry, it was perfect visual, we could have seen the 2 teats that were hanging down, but it seems as though she's moved a little bit. Come on. I think she's maybe starting to get a little on the uncomfortable side, so if she starts to keep kind of moving from us and she's not as settled as what she was just now, we might just end up leaving her. The last thing I want is to stress her, like I say, but she seems to be okay now. She's just moving away, so there you can see the 2 teats between her legs as she just drifts through the bush, although now there's going to be a branch perfectly placed so that we can't see that. Sorry about that. So she is still moving a little bit, but she's okay. She's not grumpy, she's not running from us, so we're all good. The problem is it doesn't seem like we're making too much headway, so to speak. I know that's pretty punny given that the head should be next to a pier, but it doesn't seem as though too much is going on with that. But there is a road coming up, so I'm going to make my way towards the road. It also means that I don't have to kind of crash through the bushes with her, and we can just go around. I'm going to have one last look and see how much those legs have come out when she crosses the road. If we're at a situation where we're still fairly kind of static, then we might just start heading home. Let's see. So, Nancy, you're wondering if most of the crew is sitting in FC watching, and apparently, yes, that is affirmative, that 90% of them are in there, which must mean it's a real big squash, because FC is not designed for the 30 strong staff members that we are at Djuma at the moment, and so it must be a fairly cramped environment, which would mean that probably smells much like my man tent that Cindy was referring to earlier. What do you think, Ferg? Sure, Ferg is all he's got. Now, in front of us we've got a few zebra friends that have joined to give us the stereotypical zebra wildebeest kind of picture to just complete the process. Maybe these are the midwives just coming to help out with making sure everything goes swimmingly and smoothly. Now, she should appear shortly coming out towards the road itself. I wonder if she's maybe not going to go towards water. There's a little water hole not too far from us at the moment. Maybe she's going to be heading there to have a little bit of a drink and just to rehydrate a little bit. Liz, you say it will happen quickly once we get a little bit more out and we get past past the big parts and then it will all just kind of drop out. I know, I want it to happen. I really want to show all of you what's going on and to see how it goes and to watch the whole process. We're in it now to win it, so we might as well just be patient and try our very, very best. The problem is if she keeps moving northwards. Hello, you're a very friendly zebra. Normally with zebra they don't go anywhere. I mean, they always run away from you, but this particular fellow has been quite friendly. But there we go, there's our... So those legs don't seem like they've come too much out, do they? They almost look as though they're still in a very similar place. She starts to feed again now, so come on, girl. You've got to just make one big push for us. Give us some hope that it's going to be imminent. I'm sure, like as we were saying, as soon as we get a bit of weight out, then it'll start to come out fairly quickly. Can't be comfortable though. You kind of see that and it just looks awkward, to be honest. It doesn't look as though it's very pleasant at all. I'm not sure that it is very comfortable. And when she sits down, it amazes me how she has to kind of sit and try not to actually hurt those little baby's legs. It's amazing. Andy, you say somebody should bring us breakfast and coffee. I thoroughly agree, Andy. I think that's a fine idea. What do you think, Ferg? Ferg agrees with me. So Ferg says, Andy, you're a very wise man. And so maybe that's what we should do. We should just do a kind of breakfast run. Although the ladies in FC will also need breakfast at some point. And so I suppose we should consider them as well. Although maybe somebody can just run down to camp and grab it for them and be able to bring it out into the FC. Now you can see she's going to cross the road now. There we go. Let's see, maybe she'll lie down on the road and give birth on the road. Wouldn't that be nice? No, not going to lie down on the road. Now, Lou, apparently you're going to bring us some coffee. Thank you, Lou. Very kind of you. And knowing Lou, if she's going to bring coffee, she's going to bring me coffee and she'll bring me breakfast of mushrooms, because at the end of the day, Louise knows that I'm not a coffee drinker and I don't like mushrooms, but that would be right up her street. She gives me trouble about it every time we have breakfast with mushrooms. She tells me that I should be eating mushrooms and what's wrong with me. Of course, I have a response to that to Louise, and I always tell her that mushrooms are actually grown in between the toes of people that don't wash their feet. That's what I always tell Louise, because it's a fungus and that's where it grows, and that's why I don't eat it. Of course, that's absolute nonsense. So kids, if you are listening, please don't quote that to your parents. I don't want to be in trouble with all of your parents. At the end of the day, I was just joking around, and of course mushrooms are not grown there at all, and so you should eat your mushrooms. They are good for you. Now,
you're not a fun guy.
Richard, so you've just joined us. Welcome to this live safari on this marathon stint as we try and follow this female wildebeest and see if she's going to give birth. So Richard, we are now going on, how long are we going on now, Ferg? We're going on over an hour that we've been kind of broadcasting it, but we have been with her for, it's almost about 2 hours since the first time she was spotted with those little hooves sticking out. So it's been quite a while, and we haven't really made too much progress. There was a kind of a big push and those legs came out, and then since then it's been following her around with legs poking out of her and no real kind of development since then. The thing is though, is it just takes her to really kind of concentrate, and at the moment she's distracted by food, and so she's not really focused on what she's doing. But what I have noticed with her, which is really interesting, and I've never really had a chance to follow a wildebeest for this long as she gives birth, is that she goes and she lies down. She then starts to push and push and push. There, you see she's digging, and she's going to lie down now. So she's just digging a little gap, and then she'll hopefully put her bum down. And what she does is she comes all the way through the herd, she finds a spot, starts to do this, and then sits there while the herd is grazing. As the herd gets to a point where it's too far, then she starts, she's not going to lie down there. I thought she would. Every time she's dug so far, she's laid down. Anyway, she then waits for the herd to kind of come past, and then she'll then catch up with them. So it keeps kind of doing that. So I think if the herd sits for long enough, hopefully she'll sit, and hopefully she can then start to really push, and we'll get this little baby out and about and alive in the world and running around and moving around with all of us. So Soccer Dash, you're wondering what time is it where I am currently? Well, it is now 10:15 currently here in South Africa, so it is going into mid-morning. which is fine. It's a perfect time of the day to be out and about, and it's beautiful weather today. Now, we don't have a wildebeest baby, but we do have some other little babies that are with us. It's a time of plenty now. It's my favorite time of the year, and that's because there's little things everywhere. And so you can see some tiny baby impalas that are moving around. This little one is actually quite big already, so it's probably been around for a couple of weeks. So they're all over the place as well. You'll find little nursery groups. In fact, the rest of them will start sort of drifting past fairly shortly. But she's now sat down. There we go. So she's resting in the shade. So there we go. Now, we do run our camera on a battery, and so we're just trying to feed back to our final control because they are a little concerned on our battery life. But we have switched out a battery, so if you can put more batteries on charge, that would be wonderful. So there we go. It's a bit of admin out the way. I do apologize about that. But anyway, our wildebeest is down now, which is good news. I mean, at the end of the day, it means that she's pushing. You can see she's turning her head. She's kind of going towards those legs, and it'll be that uncomfort that's why she'll turn around and just sniff and look. And so hopefully she's going to push. Oh no, there's a little baby impala with an injury. That's not good. So there's a little impala that ran past that unfortunately is a little injured, but it seems to be doing all right. It's running quite quickly. It's running on 3 legs, but it's running okay. Unfortunately, their legs are so thin and brittle that if they run too fast, sometimes they cause a little bit of a strain on their legs, but it should be okay. If it's able to run like that, it'll be cool. Come on, girl. Now you are sitting. You've got everyone's attention. Just lie on your side. Maybe if she lies on her side, it'll be an easier push. You see, she's kind of giving herself a bit of space almost to work with. You see how she's kind of got that lean going. So hopefully this is now where she's really going to try and push. Hopefully we're going to see a situation where it's going to come out a lot further now. Of course, we are on the wrong side to see what progress is being made, but I don't want to move. She's down. She's starting to push, and this is the most we've seen her kind of pushing in the last little while. And so let's rather give her a chance to try and get this little one out as much as possible and see if we can get a little view of it. Guide monkey wondering if lying down is related to maybe cooling her belly. It could be. I suppose there is that possibility, particularly because she digs out sand before she lies down, and so there'll be some cool sand underneath, particularly after all the rain that we've had. As she's dug up, there'll be a nice cool layer underneath. So it could be that. It could be helping her just ease all of those cramps as she's pushing and she's squeezing. And also, from the end of the day, maybe it's just a little more comfortable, the angle that she gets. There's also a bit of a pressure on the stomach. Maybe that helps being able to get it out a little bit. I don't know. Obviously very difficult to relate to a wildebeest and to be able to talk to it and understand why it's lying down so much. I would imagine just more from a comfort point of view, it's easier for her to lie down. It's not nearly as much strain, and then once she feels like it's almost out, she'll stand up, and that hopefully with gravity, like I say, it will just kind of come out quickly, and that will be the end of that. Sometimes though, I have seen with an impala it giving birth lying down, so the impala just came out as it was lying down. You can see some of the other wildebeest are interested, so there's one that's coming and sniffing and just having a little look. What's going on here? Nope, I don't really know what that is, and now we're going to go off and carry on. But she's definitely rocking from side to side and just trying to get as much of a push as she can. So Sharon, you say she's looking behind her and almost shouting, "Get out!" I'm sure. After 2 hours, I would also be shouting, "Get out!" I would not be a very happy person if I had hooves sticking out of my backside for 2 hours. So not ideal for her, and I'm pretty sure she wants it out. It's starting to get hot. I'm pretty sure she's starting to get a little uncomfortable, and so I would imagine that she wants this out as soon as possible. Also, at the end of the day, we've talked a lot about predators over the course of this sort of progress that we've followed her. She is in a very compromised position when she's like this. She's going to be slower. She's lying down. She's got, hooves sticking out. It's not as easy for her to run, and so she wants this out as quick as possible. At the end of the day, she doesn't want to be caught by a predator lying down, busy kind of giving birth. So she really wants to try and get this out and to make it as quick a process as possible. She is rocking, so she's definitely moving. She's definitely trying. Come on, girl. I didn't see how much came out. Did you get to see? I didn't see. I missed. Didn't see anything behind. I was hoping that we'd see a little head swaying or hips or something. At the. Oh no, come on girl. She is definitely rocking. Maybe she's now using the ground as a way just to kind of help push on that stomach and just help add a bit of pressure as she's contracting to get this little one to push out a little bit more. But she's definitely far more active in her birthing process than she was just now. Rachel, you say this is your first wildebeest birth. Thank you. Well, Rachel, I would imagine you're in a boat with many other people at this stage. You're in the same boat as Ferg, because Ferg has never seen a wildebeest birth either, and it is an amazing process. So it is such an epic thing to be able to witness, and the fact that we are able to show this to you is just one of the best things about what we do. We have these small little vehicles, but we are the largest safari vehicle in the world because we have all of you with us, and it is amazing to be able to share these kind of moments, because this is something incredibly rare. A number of people have not seen a birth, and so we're super excited that we're able to do it. Now, she seems to still just be sitting. I don't know how far it is. Like I say, I've got no view of how much is coming out of the back end there, but the way that she's rocking, it tends to suggest that she's really trying to get this out now. She seems to be constantly pushing. Her breathing rate is quite fast, so I think she's in a situation where she is really now actively trying. Jennifer Rose, you say, wow, 2 hours. If this was cattle, it would be a stillborn. Well, I know it's the thing is, there's obviously there's a bit of a worry to it that you think maybe these things can happen out here, and it does happen from time to time. But I think it's more just the fact that we caught her very early, long before that she kind of really got it out properly. So we got her as those hooves were just starting to kind of show a little bit and go back in, and show a little bit and go back in, and so maybe that's why we've been with it for so long. I don't know. I mean, any time will tell. It would be really devastating if it was a stillborn. I think I would be quite torn apart by that. It's been such an epic process to follow her along and kind of go through this with her, that it would be really sad if that was the case. Of course, we can't write those things out because it is nature and these things do happen, but I'm hoping that that isn't the case, and I'm hoping that it does pop out fairly shortly. Although now that she stood up, it seems as though those hooves haven't really kind of come out much more than what we first saw them ages ago. Come on, girl, lie down in that direction, then we'll be able to see. She's sniffing where she was lying, so she knows, she's aware that she's got an fluid leaking from her. She is smelling that area, and so she definitely knows that there is something coming out. But we're off and rolling again. Come on, girl. Not easy. The problem is where she's heading. She's heading really into some dense stuff, so it's going to be very difficult for me to keep up with her without disturbing her heavily. So I want to just try and see if she's going to settle one more time for us. The road does bend again, so we should be okay. There we go, she's lying down. We've actually got a great view from here, because if she starts pushing, we're going to be able to see, because I can see the legs just poking out. She's kind of got her bum towards us, which is actually the best way for us to see. Look, there is a definite push. Look, it's coming. There's definitely more coming out. Look at that, can you see? There we go, come on little one. There we go, she's definitely getting there. It's a much larger push, come on. Come on, girl. You're almost there. A couple more big pushes. Oh, that's just the thick part of the legs coming out. There's definitely more, though. That's since she's laid down. Come on. This is amazing. There we go. Come on. She's almost there. Shame. It must be so much effort. You can see all the muscles tension as she pushes. And it's a situation where you kind of gain a centimeter, lose 2 centimeters, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, but she'll eventually get it right. Come on, Footloose, out you come. It's time to say hello to everybody now. Oh, we're almost there, we're getting there. It's slow and steady, but So, Kayleen, you say the hooves started showing about 2 hours and 20 minutes ago if she gives birth now, but we're definitely far more kind of out there than we were just now, so we're getting there. Come on, girl, you're almost there. A couple more big pushes. It's all, I feel like a proud dad egging her on at this stage, just trying to kind of help her get it out, even though I know she can't hear me and she doesn't have any of the foggiest idea of what I'm saying. I feel like our vibes that we're throwing out are helping. Now, I believe all of you are in the same boat and wishing her and sort of egging her on as best we can, so she's getting there. Come on, girl, you're almost there. I know it's tiring, but you're getting there. Come on, big push. Oh, there we go. It's little bit by little bit. It's not a quick process. I almost feel like I want to just go and help her and kind of grab the hooves and just kind of ease them out with her, but unfortunately, obviously, we can't do those kind of things, and it's just amazing though to watch this. It's unbelievable how much energy goes into the new life of a little wildebeest. Is absolutely phenomenal. She's almost there. I feel like if she can just get past that thick part there, it's going to kind of, a little piece is going to come out. There we go, there we go, there we go. Oh, you're almost there, girl. There we go, it's coming. We're in the best possible place as well. How incredible is this? Wow. Come on. There we go, there we go. You see that thickest part is kind of out now, so we're getting there. It's definitely, most of it is starting to come out. We're about halfway, I would say, so she's really done a good job. I think everybody in FC is sitting with bated breath at this point, and I'm sure all of you that are watching around the world are exactly saying, no, don't get up, come on. We needed you just to push a little bit more. Come on, girl. Oh, we're almost there. Come on, just keep pushing while you're standing. You're almost there. Come on, girl. Oh no, don't go into the thickets. Feel like we were close, but she's going into the thicket now, although the road is actually not far. Let's just go around on the road. Come on, we're going to take you all with us. This is absolutely phenomenal. How cool is this that we are getting to see a birth live with all of you guys? Absolutely unbelievable. So there she is. She's in the shade. I just want to try and position so that we can try and see if she lies down again, that we have a very similar angle like what we just had just now, because that's going to be best for us. Here we go. We're just going to get in here, try and go nice and slow. So there she's, this one here on the right of the bush there, Ferg, with the little one actually. So that's the little baby that's with her. Is not hers obviously, but that's the one that we're looking for. Now it's not the greatest view compared to what we had just now, but I feel like she is going to move, and so we will hopefully see her just come out a little bit. Come on, girl, you're almost there. You are doing so well. Just need her to lie down once again, and then she's going to have it, I'm sure. Oh no, that's not her. Where's she gone now? Is she lying down there? I don't know. I can't see her now. She seems to have moved further than I thought. Or is she coming now?
I think she's coming.
No, it's neither of those two. I thought she was in the bush here. I'm just trying to see where she could be, because at the end of the day, I just don't want to lose her. A little bit to the left is what everyone is saying, so maybe. Let's see. She's still in there. Okay, so Ferg says he can still see her. No, there she is. She's in front of us. She's straight in front. She's going into a little shady spot now, so maybe she wants to just lie down in this shady section. Just going to try and get in here. There we go, she's pushing. So she's just trying to get into a shady spot. Oh, she just jumped over that branch, so that can't be that comfortable. Come on, girl, lie down in the shade there. Now, we don't have much of a view again. Sorry, Ferg, I'm going to just reposition you here. So Cheryl, you're sending good vibes from Northwest Florida, and well, hopefully we're going to have a situation there. She's there. She's definitely wanting to sit down again. I think she's trying to find a shady spot. Hopefully she's going to sit right there in front of us, because we don't have a bad view from here. She's pushing a little bit. Come on, girl. You're almost there. Oh, that can't be comfy. She's almost kind of got the wide walk now. There, she's going towards some shade. Have a lie down there, girl. Come on. So a little bit more to there we go. She's this one closest to us, Virg. Yeah, that one there. So come on, lie down there, girl. That's a good spot. There we go. Keep pushing now. Now we're not going to be able to see too much from here, but that's okay. Like I say, we get a situation where it doesn't matter if we don't see it coming out right at the time it comes out. If we can just get it out and see her kind of being the proud mom and the little one getting up, that's going to be even more than just seeing it kind of coming all the way out. But she's pushing, shame. She's really working hard to try and get this little one out. There we go, girl. You're doing a good job. You're almost there. So, consulting detective, you say you just want to see the new baby try to walk. I think all of us do, consulting detective. I'm certainly in that fan club as well. I want to be able to see this little one take its first few steps and be able to actually go through this whole process. How amazing though that we're actually rooting for a little baby to take its first steps after watching its mother struggle for over 2 hours to try and get it out. That would be the most amazing thing. I think one of my favorite guiding memories ever, and particularly because we're sharing it with all of you guys. At the end of the day, it's the most number of people that I've ever taken to see a birth, and so it is an incredible experience and one that I won't forget anytime soon, that's for sure. Now, hopefully she's pushing there and more is coming out. I don't have a clean access to go any further forward without hitting branches, so let's just stay where we are now. It's fine where it is. She's pushing, that's okay, and like I say, if she does have it and it does come out, she is going to stand up and move around, and we will then be able to see. Maybe she even rolls for us and goes onto the other side like she did earlier when she was trying to kind of give birth. So maybe she kind of rolls onto her left flank. Let's have a look. Either way, she's really trying. Come on, girl, you're almost there. You can see how much effort goes in. Her whole body is moving. Jerry, you say her composure is incredible. She's not even making a noise. Well, Jerry, the thing is that she can't make a noise. If she makes a noise, she's attracting every hyena and leopard and lion in a close radius. So while it probably is excruciatingly painful, while it's taxing on her body, she's having to just keep quiet and just try and stay as quiet as possible to help this one come out. Now, come on, girl, you're almost there. We're getting there, slowly but surely. I think she's just hot in the sun, so she's going to go into the shade. Now, sorry, Nix, I'm battling to hear you. With all the rain, I think I've got water in my earpiece, and that's why I'm battling so much to hear what's going on. But hopefully we'll be able to. There we go. She's finding herself a nice spot here in the shade. The rest of the herd is in the shade, which means we're in a good place now. So hopefully we're going to have a situation where she's going to give birth. If she sits like that, we're in the prime spot, other than a few little baby impalas that might be in the way, but we will at least get to see the kind of leg process and her whole body. But she's getting there. Come on. So Herbie, who's in final control, is guessing that it's her first one and that's why it's taking so long. Well, I'm not sure. I also thought that initially. When we first saw her, I thought just the way that she was moving, the way that she was doing things, it almost looked like her first one. But there's a young one that's followed her around everywhere. So not a calf, but a year-old one that is everywhere she goes. The year-old one is going and investigating and sitting with her. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's her second. I'm not sure. Maybe Herbie's right. It is her first, and that's why it's been such an arduous process. But most certainly it has been a tough one, and she's really trying. Like I say, I just hope with all of this that goes on that this isn't a stillborn and that there isn't a situation where it doesn't stand up. So Cindy, you're saying it's midnight in California, you're exhausted, but you're still with us, you're still watching, and that's because you can't take your eyes off of it. It is just the most amazing thing. Well, Cindy, I agree. It is absolutely astounding, and I think if I was in California and it was midnight for me, I'd also be here. There we go. Look how much is coming out now. We're getting there. Come on. We're almost there. Come on, it's coming. There we go. There's the head. The head's out. Look. There we go. There it is. It's out. Well done. And there's a little ear flick. Did you see? The ear's flicking. The head is shaking. Look. Look at that. That is amazing. This little one is alive, so it's not just stillborn. It's kicking. Its head is shaking. Come on, little one. There we go. She's up. She's up. There we go. She's shaking her head. Oopsie. Come on, girl. You're almost there. A couple more pushes, but at least the little one is alive. That is so cool. So I believe everybody in FC is celebrating. Us here too. Ferg, how amazing is this? Look, it's kicking. It's struggling, trying to get out. It's like, Mom, I want to be out. I don't want to be in here anymore. Footloose is finally making its appearance. Come on, little one. You're almost there. Come on, little one. There we go. Shaking the head, getting rid of all that fluid in the ears and the eyes. How amazing. There we go. Come on. There we go. It's down. It's out. It's out. There we go. Well done, girl. Well done. That is amazing. How epic is that? So she's managed to do it. It's a marathon 2.5 hour stint that she's managed to push that little baby out. But there it is. It's wobbly. It's alive. It's breathing. This is absolutely phenomenal. How incredible. There you go. And you see Mom is just inspecting, giving it a bit of a groom. Look, there we go. Already starting to lick off all of the afterbirth. So Rachel, all the way from Brisbane, Australia, you say we have the best job. We do. How amazing. Look, as you see, it's struggling to get to its feet already. So let's time this. We've only been, I would say, a minute since it flopped to the ground, but it's already struggling. It's trying to get to its feet already. So I reckon I'm going to call it at 10 minutes. This little one is going to be standing. It's had enough of being inside Mom. It's 2.5 hour wait. It's now rearing to go, full of beans, and it wants to go everywhere. How amazing. This is just, you couldn't ask for anything better. You couldn't script it any better than what we've had this morning. There we go. See, it's struggling to its feet. It's trying. Come on, little one. Oh, lots of fluid in the ears. You've got to get rid of all of that. That is cute. I know it's covered in afterbirth, but it is cute. His ears are far too big for it. Well done, Mom. You did a sterling effort. So I believe a lot of you are in various states of emotion. So some of you are crying, some of you are saying happy birthday to our little one. But isn't this incredible? It's not even been 3 minutes and it's already got the strength to push onto those front legs. Look, it's almost up. That is incredible. Come on, little one. You're almost there. It's going to be a bit wobbly. There's going to be a few tumbles and falls, but this is amazing. The strength in this little baby to be standing and the instinct to kind of get up and to try and move as quick as possible. That is just incredible. There you go. She's grooming all of that afterbirth off now, making sure this little one is clean and gets rid of all of that. How insane. This is spectacular. Well, there we go. Got to get those legs out of the sack, though. You're not going to be able to stand without that, so Mom's going to have to help you there. And Mom's going in and attending to the little back hooves. There we go. Come on, you're almost there. Up you get. There we go, there we go, there we go. Oh, almost. We're getting there. It's trying so hard. Isn't that amazing? You think of a newborn baby person and how long it takes for them to walk. And this little one is 4 minutes old and it's already getting to its feet. You are a little champion. How incredible. Come on. Yeah, shake that off. There we go. Little tumbles, okay. There's going to be plenty of those in life. There we go. Come on. There we go. We're almost up. Now, he's saying it's got the longest eyelashes. It does, doesn't it? It almost looks like a Maltese poodle in a way. There we go. We're almost up. Now, this flailing about and this falling over is very common. This is something that we're going to see. You know, it's unfortunately, like I say, it's not even 6 minutes old now. What are we about? 6 minutes. And it's getting there. Come on. You're almost there. Oh, there we go. We're wobbly, but we're up. Does that constitute standing? I feel like it does. It's on all fours. That is awesome. Crouching tiger, hidden dragon, exactly. We've got a little ninja amongst us in the form of a little baby wildebeest. Oh, there we go, over again. That's okay. You're getting there, little one. Your instinct is taking over. Mom, well done. She doesn't look so kind of chuffed with us watching this process, but we're egging you on. There's lots of people here telling you that you've done a fantastic job. Well done, girl. Here we go. Come on, little one. Oh, we're almost there. That is spectacular. Oh, look at that. New life, everybody. That is amazing. There we go. We're almost up. Almost. You're getting there. Considering that you are less than 10 minutes old, you are doing a fine job, little one. Hold on, there we go. Balance. There's a little umbilical cord. Wow. Well done. Off you go. You're going to wobble a bit behind Mom, but there we go. Spectacular. It doesn't get any better than this. And as Rachel said, we do have the best job in the world. To watch this and to be a part of this and have this go is just the most incredible moment ever. Wow. Off you go, little one. I'm not going to follow it any further. I think we've watched the most incredible process. We've seen it get out, we've seen it up, we've seen it moving. It gets thick in there. I don't want to spook the mom in any way, so I'm going to let it drift away, and we'll hopefully kind of keep catching up with it over the course of the next few days. But I don't want to chase it. It's still wobbly, so we're going to let Mom disappear off into the thickets as it goes. Oh, little back step there. Going. Well done, little one. There comes some of the others just to see. So you see, that's that young one that I was talking about that keeps following this female. So I'm sure that that's her last calf. She keeps following this one wherever it goes. And there we go. Off they go into the thicket. I think that's the last we're going to see of them for now, because like I say, I don't really want to push her in any way whatsoever. That was absolutely phenomenal. It is one of the best sightings I've ever had, and I am so glad that we got to share it with all of you. I hope that you had the most epic time. And so from myself and Ferg, all the FC ladies, and especially to Scott who found this morning, thank you very much, and we'll hopefully see you all in a little, well, soon, hopefully this afternoon actually, as we head out on our afternoon adventures.